else to do. 'Cause I can't go on not loving you. 'Cause it's all in my head. It's all in my head. I just can't keep thinking it over again. I can't keep picturing you with him. And it hurts so bad. Hey, 'cause it's all in my head. It's all in my head. I just keep picturing you with him. I replay it over and over again. And I can't take it. I can't shake it, no. I can't wait to see you. Wanna see you still got that look in your eye. Baby, when you laugh at me before I said our goodbyes. And it's a shame that we gotta spend our time being mad about the same thing over and over again. Over and over again. Oh, and I think she's leaving. Oh, man, she's leaving. I don't know what else to do. I can't go on. I'm loving you. Anyway, welcome to the show. I'm getting through it, man. I just ran like 2 orders real quick. That's it. I figured that was enough. I checked my bank account. I was positive, so I kind of just said fuck it. But I still ran a couple orders, so I made gas. You know what I mean? Spent $27 on some gas, and then went and made $25. You know, so hey man. I can't wait to see you. Wanna see if you still got that look in your eye. When you laugh at me before we say our goodbyes. And it's a shame that we spend our time being mad about the same thing over and over again. And over again. But yeah, man. How y'all doing, man? Chilling. I'm out here um thinking about buying some land out here, so kind of just hanging out, pretty much checking out the neighborhood, enjoying things a little bit, But I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna buy the land and I'm just gonna pull over on the side of the road and sleep in my car. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. It's like way better than. So I feel like for $1,000 a month, that's I could find a place. If I get lucky enough, I find a piece of shit. $1,000 a month. Um, but that's not helping me any to pay somebody. Go to work, make all this money, and then just give it straight to somebody else. You know what I mean? So I'm more or less just trying to, just want to buy a piece of land, pay it all off outright. I appreciate that, Kent. But yeah, I'm homeless. I've been living in the car since September, trying to get like some land that I could have like as a base camp. You know what I mean? Just hang out. Uh, don't have to worry about the cops chasing me off of my own private property. You know what I mean? There might be certain deed restrictions, this, that, and the other, Karens and shit that I might have to deal with, but figure out that when you get out, figure it all out when you go. But currently I got like $8,000 saved up. I need to get to 12 before I can even really start, to really talk, because they say bullshit talks and money talks, bullshit walks. So I need to get the money in my hand. Until then, just keep walking. Running Uber. Pretty much got a retail job at work as well, and then I'm trying to make something out of the YouTube. If I can, create some kind of a fan base. People that want to see me succeed. On a long time horizon. Type of people. You know what I mean? People that are willing to tune in 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Just see what I can create for myself. Um, but yeah, currently pretty much living on like less than 20K a year because I live in the car. You know what I mean? So it's not a whole lot of expenses involved with that. Pretty much you pay your car insurance, and then that's like your rent at that point. But I don't know. I don't know if he left. I don't know. I guess he didn't feel like talking to me no more. But anyway, that's pretty much about it. Just doing my thing, kicking it day to day, knocking out a couple of orders. Since I'm chilling in the car all day anyway, I might as well. It's probably what that is probably it's disconnecting. There's really terrible service out here. that's probably why I'm losing viewers and shit. Hey, how you doing, man? But yeah, I'm just, like I'm saying, trying to do my thing, man. If I can, get to the point I have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, you know what I mean, and start to make some kind of pennies from that, you know what I mean. Let that sit in like a savings, you know what I mean. Just kind of just leave all that money sitting there. Hopefully it'll pile into something, I create like a, you know, hopefully get like 20, 30K subscribers, something like that. I don't think I'm gonna be, anything too big or nothing. A lot of people will pop in here and be like, "Oh my God, it's Timu Jack Black," So I kind of try to run with that a little bit, I don't know, but yeah, not like I'm in the Anaconda movie or nothing like that. Trying to do what I can. Hell yeah, man. Yeah, the one thing I could say, man, is just kind of just be consistent with it. It takes a while before the algorithm even starts to notice you, and if the number one thing is just kind of if you're posting a video once a week, you got to stay on that. Keep posting that one video once a week. You know what I mean? The more videos you put out there, it's like you're making a bigger net. You know what I mean? Whereas you just have one little trap with your one little video, not really like, you know what I mean? But anyway, you have 80 traps set, from having 80 videos out there, and any one of those 80 videos can be seen by somebody. You know what I mean? Not like it's, not like, you know what I mean? But I'm trying to use it as an analogy. You know what I mean? The more videos you have out there, the more of a chance for somebody to pop across your video. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, I don't know about like the daily uploading because you get some of your fans, you might catch people, but then you're uploading way too much and they're like, oh man, it's like more of this shit, I'm not even gonna, and they just scroll right through it. You know what I mean? So you kind of want to find a balance in between, give the people what they want but don't overfeed them. You know what I mean? I don't know, it's basically what I could say. And then I'm not, I'm only got like 400 subscribers, so I'm not really the best person to listen to on all that, but I'm hoping, maybe by next January I can at least hit 1,000, because I've really been kind of working with the YouTube, trying to get it off the ground since September. So it'll probably take a little more than a year for that to happen. I'm not a chick, so I don't have boobs, to get like bonus on, my subscribers. You know what I mean? So, I'm doing what I can. This one's for the boys. You know what I mean? Anybody else out there, you know, figure if you're bored, I'm bored. Like, I might as well hang out, try to talk to each other. I'm wanting to get, I got my tablet. I'm gonna get my tablet hooked up. You know what I mean? I got to get a second phone. I'm gonna get a second phone just to live stream with. You know what I mean? Pretty much just keep this one as a pocket tool. And then when I get that second phone, I'll be able to I'll have the tablet going too. And I was thinking about playing like I might do or either RuneScape or maybe like a Fortnite. Just be on the tablet. Because I'm still living in my car, so I can only do so much. You know what I mean? But with the, play some games on the tablet. And be live streaming myself playing the game on the tablet. And if I was doing RuneScape, it's free. You know what I mean? So if one of my viewers pops in and they see me playing RuneScape, or somebody that's never seen me before, they see me playing RuneScape, they'll be like, "Hey man, can I come join you?" I'll put it in the title, like, come to World 94, let's raid. You know what I mean? I don't know. Just something to think about, But I'm really wanting to maybe be like, like a dashboard cam kind of thing, and then like just do my Uber driving, and then broadcast the whole 8, 9, 10 hour day of me Uber driving. Whoever wants to pop in that time, you know what I mean. But the only thing is the signal. The signal's not too good everywhere, so I'd have to look around, find exactly what service I'd want to use for that. Find out which service is going to work best, especially for the area that I'm in. Because I do plan on buying land out here, pretty much like, but there's no land available on this street, because they've already put electric all the way up and down this street, so they're not trying to sell any lots off of this street yet. They're trying to sell lots off the other two streets where they haven't run electric down yet. So that way, the person that buys the lot on one of the other two streets, you have to pay to plug your lot into the electrical grid, and it's going to cost more because it's not already adjacent to your lot. You know what I mean? It's just funny how it works out that way. You know what I mean? Because it would be nice, because there's power lines right fucking here. I can't. Yeah, but yeah, they're like 20 feet away from me. You know what I mean? But Of course, the land right here, there's no signage or nothing that, you can't go on Zillow and find how much they want for it. But the land 2 streets over is for sale, where there's no power yet. Anyway, yeah, I over-explained that way too much. Yeah. And really, it's kind of about you to find your niche, man. You'll find an audience. You just got to find, like for me, I'm doing homeless Uber driving. You know what I mean? And granted, it's not the most interesting topic, but there's a lot of people that are kind of like near homeless or near living in their car. There's a lot of car camping videos already out there on YouTube, that kind of thing. There's a lot of people that are thinking about driving for Uber or DoorDash, and then they'll want to see what it's like before they just start driving and doing it. You know what I mean? So pretty much that's what my niche is just do showing life of being homeless and then trying to run some Uber orders at the same time. But yeah, I want to kind of branch out from that and do like car camping videos. I was thinking about doing a tour of my car. I don't know, it's just like something stupid. But yeah, do like a tour because I got like a no build. Everything's got some kind of organization to it. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. But I was thinking about, doing a little tour wrap around of my car, making that into a video somehow. Um, Doing different survival challenges. Um, but I don't know. Right now, I'm kind of focused on the Chronicles. I was kind of shoved another couple videos in here and there in between. You know what I mean? But for right now, it's like I'm getting the most subscribers from doing live. You know what I mean? Um, so I don't know. I'm trying to go live, have like a consistent time schedule where I go live. So if I get a couple of fans that do want to, they know they can look forward to seeing me on Saturday nights at 10 o'clock, Eastern Standard New York time. You know what I mean? And we'll just bullshit. It's just just smoke session, just guys hanging out. I might get some beers. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. I don't know. But yeah, you see me drunk, and you know what I mean. Not like I'm a whole nother person, but I'm like like a highlight reel kind of thing when I'm drunk. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all hanging out. But it's better than just sitting here bored, looking trickling through YouTube trying to find something else to watch, and then I don't know, the majority of the shit that there is to watch is not quite as interesting as going live and trying to find somebody to talk to and converse with, and somebody that can catch my vibe. You know what I mean? But I don't know. The big head mode seems to be helping out a little bit too. Hell yeah. Yeah, and if you really like editing, man, you could even just get into the editing, right? And like people send you their footage, right, through an email or whatever. They'll send you the footage, and you can edit it out for them. Charge them to edit it. If you get really good at editing, to the I mean, because I'm not really good at editing. You know what I mean? I'm doing it all from my phone though, so I don't really have like a MacBook Pro I'm working with while I'm doing the editing. Pretty much just record a bunch of clips and then piece them together, kind of cut out some of the bull, try to put, funny little moments here and there, you know, yeah, I don't know, put it together. Um, some people are description whores, so you have to put a description on your video. You can't really skip it. It don't have to be anything like too amazing, you know what I mean? You don't have to put like a 5 paragraph essay for the description, but the description will show up underneath the title. Like when they're looking at a bunch of videos, you'll see the title and there's like the first couple lines of the description real quick. You know what I mean? But just give some, kind of summarize the video in the description. That's all you really have to do. What's it about? To you, to me, I just use CapCut in YouTube. Hell yeah. But yeah, I'll divvy into it. I'll divvy into it some more, as it takes off some more. I'm still trying to get to the 500 mark. Because I've met a couple of people. They've heard my situation at least at this point, and they're trying to help out. You know what I mean? But they can't because the thing is not even open. It's not even open where people can help out until I get to 500. You know what I mean? But I don't know, probably charge like $1 a month to be a member. You know what I mean? If anybody wants to be a member, you know what I mean, I don't even know. So I do, you got to do something for your members only people. Something, you know what I mean? Other than just being green in the live chat. You know what I mean? But the more often you're live, the more, the more money that's worth for just $1 a month. You know what I mean? Because they could pop into your chat. It's, I don't know. To some people, it's a big thing for their name to be in green versus gray. You know what I mean? And then as the channel gets bigger, like me as a creator, I already know it's going to get harder and harder to read the gray names. There'll be so many, I'll have moderators that are talking, and channel members that are talking. You know what I mean? The people that are in gray, they're kind of going to get skipped over. Not necessarily that I'm going to try to, but you know what I mean? I'll try to do it the other way. Focus on the gray. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's just something to think about because I don't know. I'm trying to get, like I said, you got to get to 500 subscribers first before they'll even open that up, and then from 500 to 1,000, you got to bust over 1,000, but you also need 4,000 hours viewed. But yeah, the hard part is just getting people to subscribe because people will view, people will watch, but they don't want to subscribe. Even though it's free. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, man. Yeah, and I've been, because me, after being turned in, after turning into a small creator myself, like they're putting all kinds of other small creator stuff in my feed, so like I've gotten to the point I'm just like kind of subscribing to everybody just to help them out. You know what I mean? With what's, I'm only one more person, one more subscriber anyway, but you know what I mean? Just if everybody was more looser with their subscriptions, you know what I mean? It'd be way easy. I guess that's kind of the thing, because if it gets too easy, they'll bump it up to like 10K subscribers or something, you know. And 10K subscribers, oh my god, that could take years, you know. And then the thing is like YouTube makes all kinds of money off you in the meantime between now and then, you know what I mean? So you could make a video that'll hit 1 million views, which you're based on the revenue, how many views and pennies per view and that kind of thing. It's like you're looking at about $5,000 if you make 1 million views on a video, you know. But you won't see any of that until you become monetized. So you can make a video that makes 1 million views, but if it happened before you were monetized, it might help you to get to the monetization. You know what I mean? And it's not about monetization. In the bigger picture, it's fun. You know what I mean? It's a cure for boredom for me. You know what I mean? Trying to reach out there, find people that are close to my situation or in a similar situation, or even just looking to see what life is like on the other side. You know what I mean? Because it's not that hard to live in a car. It's just cramped. You know what I mean? You got to be. I don't know. I got claustrophobia to some extent too. You know what I mean? More or less from like if I'm in a crowd. If there's a crowd of like 40 people, we're all shoved into like a little room or something. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I just try to sleep in the fetal position in the back seat, and I do want to get a van so I have a little bit more leg room, you know what I mean, more cubic footage for items and stuff that I want to keep with me, but I know if the smarter move is to get land right now as soon as possible and just like lock in today's price. As crazy as today's prices are, I think it'd be better to lock in today's price than to lock in the price in 5 years. You know what I mean? 5 more years time, this shit could double. But yeah, and I feel like if I get the land first, which I'm already kind of I'm halfway, I feel like, towards getting the land purchase, and it's easy to get another $1,000 together to put down on a vehicle after that. You know what I mean? That's basically, because you can find you'll be able to find a vehicle for like 3 to 5 grand, but the land and this being like the place I want to be and the spot that I kind of want to be, I'd hate for that to be gone. You know what I mean? I went and got financed on a fucking van, $12,000 van. I got financed, now I got my insurance doubles and, all the other, you know what I mean? $400 a month for the finance plus my insurance doubles. And then I'm still trying to, in the meantime, save money to buy land with. You know what I mean? It's better for me to just wait, secure the land first. And then, yeah, but if I buy the land outright, you know what I mean? There's no monthly payment. There would be, property tax, you know what I mean? But I've already looked into that, and property tax on the raw land, it's not going to be that much. It's going to be like less than $1 a day for my property taxes. So that'd be pretty much my rent at that point. Granted, I'm not renting much. I'm just, living on my own private piece of vacant land, undeveloped, but I don't know. I wouldn't have to worry about the property taxes going up too much each year because it'll pretty much stay on developed land. You know what I mean? How much could they really charge? But yeah, sorry. Pretty much, I have to kind of repeat that a lot because meeting new people in the live. You know what I mean? But yeah. But yeah, you gotta gotcha, man. Yep. Saturday, 10 o'clock. I got a Wednesday show I do too. Just to kind of break up the monotony. You know what I mean? But yeah, we can. I'll even try to figure it out. Maybe we can go live together because there's a way that we can do like a side by side. Kind of would be like more of like a podcast. We bouncing off each other and shit. You know what I mean? It'd be cool. We could try it, figure it out. Yeah. Close this door. Oh, shit. Yeah. The plan is at least because I put out a little poll. I'm off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from my job. So I figured on those days I could Uber till about 9 o'clock, and then do a 9 o'clock live show. You know, so I put a poll out on my channel on the page for people to vote. Which days would be the better day for me to go live. And so far, right now, it's Monday and Wednesdays will be the shows. Just to kind of right now it's more or less just trying to get more audience participation. You know what I mean? Get to the point where there's probably about 12 people viewing. You know what I mean? And there's their own little party going on in the chat. You know what I mean? Y'all are hanging out with me too. You know what I mean? Because it'll be more interesting if somebody else was in the chat talking back with you. You know what I mean? Hopefully, I can get to that point at least, and we'll see. I'm gonna invest in getting a better phone to do the live stream with. That'll be a pretty good move first off. But yeah, I'm looking into seeing who's got the best signal where I'm at. Hell yeah, grip lock. But yeah, homeless. Not trying to be forever. Just trying to think on more of like a smaller scale, because I'm not trying to sign up for no fucking 30-year mortgage. You know what I mean? I'm trying to find if I don't know, man. You know what I mean? Like the Seminole Indians that were living here before us, they were living just fine in fucking lean-tos before we took over. You know what I mean? And they were living without indoor plumbing, without ACs, and you know what I mean. It'd be a little bit of a struggle, but I mean, look at how much money you'd be able to save from here to there, all this other. Hell yeah. Yeah, I don't know, pretty much I've lived about the same life as Asmongold. You know what I mean? I just didn't have the same exposure to the internet. You know what I mean? Kind of when I first saw Asmongold, I was like, holy shit, dude. I'm like, it's the same. We're the same dude. I don't know. Not that I'm really like his level of asshole. You know what I mean? But yeah, pretty much the trash house kind of influencer kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know, because pretty much the house I grew up in, it was a trap house. It was one of them houses that it should have been legally condemned. The roof was caving in like 3 different places. You know what I mean? My dad, he worked for like less than $12,000 a year. So I pretty much, from me living with nothing for so long, I figured out how to live with nothing. You know what I mean? And for me to work twice as much as I already currently am, just to send myself to the doctor, for me to have a little bit more, I don't really know if you know what I mean. It's just, I don't know. Most of the work we do, it's for nothing anyway. But I try not to have a negative outlook on things. You know what I mean? See you later, Kent. We'll talk some more, man. Like I said, Wednesday at 9. If I don't catch you then, I'll be Saturday 10 o'clock. And then I'll still go live like spontaneously now and then too. You know what I mean? Just out of boredom. But yeah, trying to build up a fan base for the most part. You know what I mean? Build up a fan base of people that tune in regularly. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, like it's like at this point, like every time I go live, I'll pretty much find like another 2 subscribers. So I don't know. Like I did get a couple subscribers. I was putting up a short, like just make a short asking for people to subscribe. You know, hey, I got a new channel, homeless Uber driver. You know, come help me out, man. You know, I did get a couple. You know, I got like maybe about 100 subscribers, but that was like six shorts. 6 of those shorts that were. I was lucky enough that they hit like 1,000 people as like an audience. I was in, you know, I got like a 1.1K views on it, let's say. And out of that 1.1K views, you might get like 8 people that actually did subscribe. You know what I mean? So I mean, yeah, I did that for a little while until the algorithm caught on to what I was doing, and then they stopped putting my shorts in front of an audience. I don't know if I got maybe that many thumbs downs on my shorts, because it's, you know, one thing, it hurts. You know, it really does fuck up people's channels when people put thumbs downs on their shit. You know what I mean? Um, That's probably what happened, though. I don't blame people. You know what I mean? You keep seeing all these shorts from me just asking me to subscribe. You know what I mean? I get it. I tried to stop. You know what I mean? And at the same time, when I tried to, I don't know. Pretty much, I don't know. I did like 1 or 2 more just to see what it would do, to kind of see if my theory was like true, at least the way I was thinking in my head. But anyway, yeah. I don't know. I did get like about 100 subscribers out of it, but like, yeah, if it would have kept working, I'd probably already be at about 1,000 subscribers now. But yeah. Like they catch on, and they'll try to make it harder for you. But yeah. But Temu Jack Black, man, I'm just hanging out, waiting for, you know, whatever movie deal they want to give me. You know, you gotta start out something small. I don't know, probably maybe a cameo appearance in Billy Madison 2 or something like that. I don't know. Who knows? Right now, it'd be nice to get a Mountain Dew sponsorship. Would be nice. You know, like not even a lot. You know what I mean? It's fucking you know what I mean? Some kind of Mountain Dew sponsorship, man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Fucking I'm repping Mountain Dew in like every fucking video I make. You know what I mean? I don't know. I get it's like it's a really big company. It's kind of hard to get them to notice you. I mean, Mountain Dew doesn't really need to spend money on advertising. It just, you know what I mean? But yeah, like I wouldn't just take like any sponsor. You know what I mean? It'd have to be something that you actually do care about. You know, something you actually do you've bought already in your life, and then now they want to give you the product for free. You know what I mean? Like something you can actually stand behind, something you actually do support. You know, something that's got a good following, got a good ideology. You know, there's good ideology behind it. You know what I mean? You can really get on board and support that project. You know what I mean? Something like that. You know, that'd be the kind of people I would accept as like a sponsorship. You know what I mean? But yeah, yeah, you wouldn't just see me like, buy this stupid fucking eSIM card or fucking, I don't know. Figured I'd stand up for a minute. But yeah, man, just hanging out, man. We'll figure out what to do. I don't know. Almost want might even log back in, do some more Ubering, but I ran 2 deliveries, and then from where I'm at, man, just to get back to town, it's like a fucking 12-mile drive. And might as well just hang out for the night because I'm already in a good spot. I'm already in a good spot to hang out. So, unless this lady that lives over here, she likes to call the police because I don't. Here, I'll show you. It's kind of stupid, really. It's like, see, there's just vacant land on both sides of the street. I can't really, but so there's not even a house on that side of the street, and on this side there's no houses either. So I'm literally on a street with no houses built on it. But then the next street over, There's a house built, and the lady that lives there, she likes to call the cops because there's people parked on the street behind her house. Just fucking stupid shit. People don't know how to just fucking mind their own business. You know, get through your day easier. Ultimately, by dealing with less fucking people. You know. I don't know, man. I appreciate y'all hanging out, man. I wish there was more going on in the chat. You know, but I get, you know, y'all are just quiet people. You ain't got to. I'm not forcing you to. But yeah, it's easier for me to keep going and talking about shit if the chat's actually talking back. Right, yeah, and I get that. But at the same time, it's like you're not. I don't know. Like these people the other week, man. Like I tried to level with him, let him know because he caught me. Pretty much, they caught me camping out where I was, and in this little cul-de-sac where they haven't built houses yet. They got one they're doing construction on, but they're going so slow with the construction it'll probably take them another year to finish that house. And then who knows how long it'll take for them to sell it once it's built. You know what I mean? But the another two guys that live in the neighborhood, they just love fucking causing drama, stirring up shit, fucking. I don't know. They call the police on me for sleeping in my car, parked on the easement off of the pavement on a county road. You know, and because they call so much, it's a problem. You know what I mean? Because of the that's what specifically what the cop said. He's like, well, we keep getting repeat calls, so it's like you've got to stop what you're doing. And I'm like, what law am I breaking by pulling over on the side of the road and then resting? There's no, you have a human right to rest. You know what I mean? And they want to make it illegal to sleep in public. You know what I mean? Basically, that's what they want to make it illegal to sleep in public to force everybody to have to buy a house or have to pay rent somewhere. You know what I mean? That's fucked up, dude. But anyway, I tried to level with the guy and let him know, like, hey, like this is like one of like 5 spots that I park, and it's just a safe spot. It's far enough away from the highway. You know, I don't have to worry about another homeless person wanting to come out here and like stab me up and take something, you know, take my shit or, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I tried to tell the guy, I'm like, dude, you know, you just lay off. Like it's like one night a week thing. You know what I mean? Try to be back here. Pretty much, I've been living in my car since September. I'm trying to between now and September get enough money put together. You know what I mean? Well, that's what I'm saying. The price of the home is too fucking absurd, though, man. Like it's not due to me like with a lack of a job. It's the home price itself is they expect you to, you know, everybody's got to be a surgeon to be able to afford a house now or something, you know. Or if you find a way to scam the government, you might could find a way to build, you know, buy a house. They got some kind of law that's been around since like the 1800s for like cowboys, like their old shack. You know, like a cowboy would have a shack somewhere, and he'd go out west and then go out west and die or something like back in the day. But they had like a law where I forget what it was called, but if you show up to a property that's like unmaintained and you start taking care of the property, you can get rights to domicile at that house and just pay off the taxes, whatever taxes are due. Um, you know, just pay whatever taxes, back taxes, whatever that there are on the property, and then you can basically take that property under that law that has existed since way back then. But no, what I'm saying is like, why are all the houses $400,000? You know what I mean? Why is it $250,000 for a house, and it's more square footage than I even actually want? You know what I mean? I don't, and in my county, you can't build a house that's smaller than 1,000 square feet. You know what I mean? So like, you know, that's like the last little string of affordable housing that there was. Is yeah, it's cheap if you're from out of state. You know, if you come here, you know, and that's the kind of the problem too. Like this whole state is getting fucked up. I cannot tell you how many fucking people from New York there are living here. You know what I mean? And then it's just fucking the whole vibe up. You know, you got people, you know, the price is absurd for the people that live here, but it's okay for people from another state. So then they come here and it basically just fucking soils the place. You know what I mean? And then so you find other people that are willing to agree to that price. And so it basically brings the market value up because you found other suckers that were willing to pay for it. And then they come here and then they get involved in the job market, and they can't, they end up like underwater in a couple of years, you know, because there ain't no fucking job market here. Like unless you want to be a fast food worker as a career, that's the only jobs that are available. Unless you get like some kind of specialized degree, you know, go to one of these bullshit fucking medical schools and get some kind of bullshit medical license for some bullshit. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just stupid. It's just fucking. It's getting insane everywhere, dude. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, why is there not a house that you could buy that is just like a studio apartment? I don't have to buy the house. Can I just buy? If I'm paying $1,000 a month for a studio apartment, can I be putting it to like purchase value of the apartment? You know what I mean? Putting $1,000 on, you know what I mean? But that's not an option. It's not an option here. It's just, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. All you can do is what they tell you to do, and it's like, no, fuck that, bro. Like that saying, there ought to be more than one way to skin a cat. But no, the thing is, like, I don't, it's not really a plan of mine to be homeless. You're kind of looking at it the wrong way. Like, I'm just trying to, if I can buy land for 15,000, right, and then just save up 15,000, pay for the land outright, not have to worry about finance on it or nothing, and then once you've paid it off, you don't have your monthly bill for a place to live is gone, because you just bought a $15,000 piece of property that you plan on upgrading in the time that you're there, whatever you can do week to week, month to month, year to year with your tax return, this, that, the other. But I mean, like, why do you need to pay max dollar for a place to live? And then, it's like what I'm saying, we're just biting off more than we can actually chew. And so we agree to pay for it for the next 30 fucking years, when really it's overpriced. If you have to pay on something for 30 fucking years, it's overpriced. Just flat out, dude. You know what I mean? We're getting to the point where they're wanting to do like 10-year fucking car loans and shit now too. You know what I mean? 50-year mortgage and 10 years paying for a car, and then after you pay for it for 10 years, it fall apart, and you have to buy another car, pay for that for 10 years, and then, you know, it's stupid. I don't even know why we're stuck in this like divide and conquer mindset still anyway, where it's like, I left my parents' house, like we already had a family. The family already had a house, but for some reason you chase the kids out for them to go build their own house. And then, it's kind of like what the problem is too, is like, you know what I mean? Like we're all just like in this military trade route, like, go, everybody keep fucking, keep grinding out for 30 years so you can pay for the next generation gets here, and we'll just rip them off, sell the house we bought for 50K to them for 200K, and then they could pay for it for another 30 years of their life. I don't know why we do that, man, at all. The only reason I can think of as for the reason we do that is to show off, like when we did make it, you can show off to everybody that you did make it, like, look, I made it. I put in enough work that they finally broke me off a piece. Like, fuck it, bro. Just work enough to feed yourself. I don't know, man. And it's a mindset thing. Like I said, you're from California. You're probably making like $50 an hour to do something where you're probably not even actually fucking doing anything. And then, I'm in Florida watching the prices of everything go fucking absolutely insane while I'm trying to build the credit to be able to afford this shit. And then by the time I've got the credit to be able to afford this shit, they still don't want to give me anything. And, so it's like, well, fuck you. I'll just get the money on my own, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to wait till I have $200,000 in the bank to buy a house. You know what I mean? Just buy land for 15K and then fucking throw another $10,000 cabin on top of it, and then boom, just be done with it. Start saving for retirement so you can get out of the system faster, instead of worrying about running around in circles for 30 years in it. You know what I mean? Is your body even going to be able to last doing the work that you're doing? Is your body even going to last for 30, 40 years so that you can't even do that? You know what I mean? But I don't know, dude. Yeah, I know I need to shave. It just, man, I just shaved, man. Like I think in like shit, I think it was like episode 22. I just shaved, man. It was a while. Episode 22. I'm on episode like 36 now. But anyway, yeah. I don't know if I shave, man. It like it makes me have like even more of like a double chin looking thing. You know what I mean? With the beard, it hides the double chin at least a little bit. You know what I mean? But no, I could clean it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Edge it out a little bit. But I don't know. I kind of got that Robin Williams from Jumanji look going almost. If it was a little bit longer. Anyway, appreciate y'all hanging out, man. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how long the live stream is going to be, but you know, as long as I got at least one viewer, I'll keep talking. You know what I mean? Especially if y'all are chatting back in the chat. You know what I mean? Giving me questions to answer or whatever. Let me know where you're from. You know what I mean? I'm hoping to like, you know, that's why I keep putting Florida as location. Florida as the location. It's like, you know, more people from Florida see the videos. I hope. You know what I mean? I don't know, but I get it's probably more interesting to somebody that's not from Florida. You know what I mean? Because I get a lot of people from Europe, or I got like my biggest fan. He's from Australia, pretty much like my biggest fan. But anyway, yeah, I got one guy from Oregon, one guy from Canada, a couple guys from Canada. There's a couple people from the Philippines that watch me as well. I don't know. There's probably somebody that watches me just trying to learn English. I bet. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. America's kind of fucked up. I ultimately would just like to save up enough money to be able to leave, never look back at this place. Because if you're not planning on fucking spending $500,000 on a house and like doing the two kids thing and doing all this other and you know and for me I'm having to fight the system way too fucking much to be able to achieve that. So it's just getting to the point where like why even fight y'all at this point? I'm so fucking sick of this. I just feel like the system wanted me to be a father. I guess they don't want me to be a father. I'm just putting in, just fucking aching myself, by doing this shit. Because it's kind of you gotta kind of think of like the aspect of like mankind kind of operates under the sense of like we have like a hive mind in a way. If you do something that if you upset the hive too much or you're bucking the system a little bit too much, the system will get you back. You can't kick the system too much before it bites you in the ass. You know what I mean? It's like there's if you kind of thinking that way where there's like a hive mind involved with everything. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know. Not necessarily, you know what I mean. I don't. You probably don't even know what I mean, but whatever. I don't know, man. I kind of want to just be a nomad, man. Like I think it might even be cheaper just to kind of hop around. You know what I mean? It basically I would go to wherever's cheapest first because I wouldn't have an exponential amount of Bitcoin. You know what I mean? That's pretty much where I'm planning on if I can even do it. It would be because I was smart enough to convert all my currency into Bitcoin faster. You know what I mean? But yeah, you go to cheaper places where you might be able to find an apartment for like 200 a month. You know what I mean? And be able to eat for like less than $5 a day. You know what I mean? And you move in a country and hang out there for like 90 days, right? And then you just pop over to another country. See some more of the world, and then yeah. I mean, pretty much, yeah. You can be a resident, not a resident, but you can visit a country for 90 days at a time as long as your passport's up to date and all that. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Like I would like to, Australia sounds like it'd be a cool place, but I want, if it's going to cost more than where I'm already at, I don't know how feasible it's going to be for me to do it anytime soon. You know what I mean? From what I heard, New Zealand's just more expensive because it's an island, and you know what I mean. Australia's an island too, but Australia at least has like some landmass to produce things, whereas New Zealand pretty much has to get everything imported. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. I would like to check out the Philippines. You know, if I can't get shit to work out with my ex, you know, go to the Philippines and scoop up a woman real quick. You know what I mean? Maybe go to Thailand, grab another woman from there. You know what I mean? And then, you know, just the three of us just go, you know, wherever the two of them want to go, I guess. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, there's plenty of women out there that they would probably marry me just because they could have American citizenship. You know what I mean? And instead, I'm doing all this shit to impress these American girls. You know, like fuck these fucking American girls, dude. They're kind of the problem. You know, like fucking, you know, American girls have fucking run from me my whole fucking life, basically since like second fucking grade. You know, I'm so fucking tired of trying to chase something that's running the opposite fucking direction from me anyway. You know what I mean? Yeah. I heard cost of living's pretty low in Japan too, and it's like Japan is kind of like because their values and everything, it's kind of like America was in the 50s, minus like all the racism and you know the Civil War, you know the backlash from all that fucking you know everything that we did when we were first a country and shit. You know what I mean? Other than all that racism and shit that was in the 50s, like pretty much that's kind of what Japan is. You know, like the 50s or 60s. You know, the 60s minus the hippie movement. You know what I mean? There's no people aren't littering. You know what I mean? Nobody litters in Japan. They consider you like you're dishonoring. Not you know you're just you know I don't know you're dishonoring your country, but even by littering. You know what I mean? And there's no guns and shit like that. Sorry. But yeah, you don't have to worry. You know what I mean? There's only so many gun permits even in. They don't just give you a gun permit because you waited 3 days. You know what I mean? That's what I heard too. They kind of shun you if you're a foreigner. I heard that. I kind of yeah. I've seen that in videos too. Like China is more open to visitors. In Japan, you have to pretty much if somebody's like interested in learning English. I mean, it's not always like that either. Depends where you go. But Japan would be like really claustrophobic too. Everything you know, every little bar and everything. It'd be everywhere you go, you'd feel closed in. I don't know why it's doing that so much. Hang on, I'm gonna do it like that. Yeah, it's starting to get dark. Flashlight. I have not seen my flashlight in a couple of days. There it is. All right. So when I need this, when it gets a little bit dark, I'll have to put this on, kind of, you know, create some light. I'll have to move off this street though, because the lady that lives in that house over there, she's gonna freak out if she sees this light on. I don't know. I really don't know what the fuck that lady's problem is. She makes me think she must be growing marijuana in her house or something, because she's like mad tripping. There must be something going on at your house that you are worried about people. You know what I mean? Worried about some dude that's on the other side of a fucking 2 lane road on a street with no fucking houses built on it behind the street that you know I just fucking you know obviously something you got something going on there. That's something you shouldn't be fucking doing, I guarantee it. Your idea of going to different places, nomad is good. Yeah, man, because if like I said, if you don't have a kid, you don't have a kid jumping up and down on your stomach. You know what I mean? You don't really, you know, nothing. I mean, and if I can get the YouTube to take off, you know, at least create a little bit of revenue out of the YouTube channel. You know what I mean? Pretty much, I'd have a remote job at that point. You know what I mean? I could go anywhere as long as I'm still posting videos to my channel. You know what I mean? But it's gonna take time to get from here to there. You know what I mean? And if it actually does happen, then fuck, dude, it's gonna be a really cool story, man. Looking like 10 years from now, I could be getting out of this fucking country and maybe only coming back for like Christmas vacation or something. You know what I mean? I could, like right now, since it's summer here, that means it's winter down in South America. You know what I mean? I could be bouncing around places in South America. Well, it's not summer here yet, but you know what I mean. I'm worried about it getting hotter each fucking day. Each fucking day, it's like it's another fucking half a degree hotter from now until August 30th, basically. The way it's gonna feel, at least. But yeah, like, yeah, have enough Bitcoin and just go down south and fucking hang out, spend the summers down there. I don't know, man. Because the job that I got, it ain't fucking really doing much for me. Uber's helping me out more than the job's helping me out, And then part of me is thinking like, hey, man, let's drive to Alaska, fucking. But I can't, not in this car. I would have to upgrade the car to do that. You know what I mean? Upgrade the car and drive to Alaska for the summer and fucking just Uber drive in Alaska. I'm gonna turn this off because it's fucking up with the light and everything. It did. Did it turn it off? Yeah, it turned it off. All right. No, it didn't. Why did it not turn it off? Okay, maybe I'll turn on another one then, I guess. I don't know, man. It's just stuck. It's just stuck in big head mode. What the fuck? I don't know. It's just stuck in fucking big head mode. Why is it stuck in big head mode? What we got here? Hold to review. True, but I don't know, man. When they're American women anyway, they're kind of hardly even worth looking at, Looking, you looking at something, it looks nice, something about it has you looking at it, you know what I mean? But then you got to think like it's probably been run through the mud 200 fucking times by, how many other fucking mud duck looking dudes, you know what I mean? I don't know, man. And that's the thing, man. It's like, I don't know, dude. It's like, I don't know, man. American women they're just kind of getting annoying, man. They really are. Woo! Woo! Damn, I can't fix this fucking big head shit. It's just stuck on, man. I don't know what the fuck it's this phone, man. This phone's a piece of shit. Fucking Jesus Christ. At least the stream's holding up, right? Like it's looking pretty good. Is it connecting, disconnecting, or doing the wheel spinning thing on you? What does that say? Got a cough? Yeah, man. Yeah, I know the signal's not so good, Matt. So I apologize for that. But yeah, I don't know, man. But yeah, Fred, I got out there and ran like 2 orders real quick. Hell yeah, you're in Florida too? Fuck yeah, man. I'm I'm outside of Ocala. If if you know where Ocala is, more and more state is starting to learn where Ocala is. I might have to take this shirt off. Get a couple more subscribers. Here we go. Anyway, at least it makes it a little bit easier to see me. I don't know. Naples, hell yeah. It's okay. All right, dude, good. Yeah, because out here, man, it's sometimes I can't even get the fucking YouTube videos to load. You know what I mean? YouTube's pretty strong. You know what I mean, as far as like their servers and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You ever go to log on to YouTube and they say it's crashed? You know what I mean? That's something big happened. It was bigger than just YouTube. If you log on YouTube and YouTube's not available, something big happened. Like get ready because there might be a bomb coming. Like, it might not be that bad, but you know what I mean. Something could be going down. But hell yeah, man. I don't think I've ever been down to Naples. I don't know. I heard it's just like an old people town. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But Ocala, they're turning into a fucking suburbia, fucking hell, just like everywhere else. Like, it's doing all this, stamping out all these cookie cutter fucking houses, and all of them are fucking 400,000. Somebody bought 20 acres of land for $1 million, and then they're taking the 20 acres of land and they're gonna cut it all up into fucking quarter-acre lots, and then sell each one of these quarter-acre lots with a $400,000 house on them. You know what I mean? And the county, man, there's already bad enough traffic. Everybody that fucking lives here, like we're almost, you know what I mean? Everybody's wanting to pull their gun at each other, in traffic. And then the county's only about halfway full, if they keep building houses at the rate that they're building. You know what I mean? Like, good lord. And then yeah, they keep advertising to everybody else, so the people that live here, we keep losing jobs from all these people that are coming here from out of state, buying into these houses that are cheaper because they come here from somewhere else where the housing is 800,000. So a $400,000 house, that's feasible. But then they get here and then they just, it's another body added into the job market here, and then the people that live here, we're fucking living in our car, you know. And then on top of that, you brought in all these fucking people from New Jersey and fucking Ohio and fucking Vermont and fucking, New York and fucking, the worst fucking states, all these people coming here, and then they're not even like assimilating with us, you know what I mean? It's like fucking, I don't know. And then like all the places, it used to be like swimming holes everywhere. You know what I mean? You could, just driving down like a 2-lane highway and pull off the side of the road and boom, there's a swimming hole, but now some millionaire owns it, and they're not even fucking doing anything with it. They just own it to hold on to it for the next 20 years. Everywhere that used to be like a chill spot, it's like it's not even public land anymore. That's kind of what I'd like to do, man. If I'm gonna spend $300,000 on a place to live, I might as well just buy like a nice boat. You know what I mean? Like just be chilling. You know what I mean? If there's a hurricane, obviously you'd have to spend some fuel and go get up north or something. That's probably what I would do though. Just drive south, get around Miami, and then just start heading north until you're out of hurricane territory. And then when hurricane season ends, come back on down south. And just be living on a boat. I mean, it's gonna charge. If they're gonna pay, might even be cheaper. You could, I don't know, man. Because if you could, I would just buy like a $50,000 boat. You know what I mean? If I had the money for a $300,000 boat, I would probably still just buy a $50,000 boat and make do. You know what I mean? That's what they say, but I don't know. I think it costs more to live on land, man. They're charging us so much money to live on the land. It's like, makes you want to be a pirate, you just want to like fuck it, I'm getting on a boat. Come with me. But no, man, I don't know. pretty much, I'm doing my dream job right now. You know what I mean? That's the best part about this, because people that are tuning in, man, they're gonna see a pretty good story. I feel like, because this is the last time I'm letting myself be homeless. Like the only reason I ended up homeless this time is because I was building with somebody else. I thought I had a partner. The two of us were gonna be a team and build together, get in one situation and build through that, get into another situation and move up, move through things and but nope, you know. So that's what I'm saying. Like this time I'm thinking smaller scale, just pay for everything out of my own pocket. Don't even get a bank involved. If I can, the less interactions with the bank as far as me living my life I can do, the better, I feel like. Um, Trying to get to the point where I technically don't even make an income. You know what I mean? So if I don't make an income, I'd have nothing that I would even actually have to even, you know what I mean? You don't have to claim an income if you don't even technically make any income. You know what I mean? I don't know. I know it sounds stupid, but, if everything is paid, you're living on land that's already paid, chilling in a hammock, eating, and you're fine with eating rice at least one meal a day. You know what I mean? I feel like you could totally get away with only working 25 hours a week would be no problem. You'd be able to afford everything. And people need to look at it more like the car. A car is a luxury item. It really is. But we've built it so much into society where it's necessary. It's a necessity to have a car, and it's really not. Not this shouldn't have been. You know what I mean? We shouldn't have built such a codependence on vehicles for us to just do work in the first place. You know what I mean? I'm wondering why they don't have like a way you can just be on like an exercise bike, right? But you riding the exercise bike produces electricity, right? And then you riding the bike and producing electricity, you could get paid just by just being at your house and riding an exercise bike. And then we kind of stay in shape from riding an exercise bike, and then each human would be kind of used as a battery in a sense. And I think we would ultimately have more productivity in the long run versus what we're currently doing, where three of us are trying to find a way to use a computer for work rather than actually work. You know what I mean? But yeah, like imagine if I don't know. It's a stupid idea, but yeah, I don't know, man. It is kind of just like a stupid idea. But anyway, I don't know. It'd be cool if something like that existed, though. Like I just like ride a bike and then charge up my solar generator by riding a bike for a little bit, and then you know what I mean. Don't even have to worry about the electrical grid at all. Sorry, let me read some of these chats here. Sorry. I suppose it depends on the conditions of the boat. A fixer-upper can end up costing a ton of maintenance. Yeah, there's a lot of boat maintenance. But I wouldn't be paying for a slip fee. You know what I mean? I wouldn't pay for it to be like parked anywhere. You know what I mean? I would just park it wherever I could, for free each night. You know what I mean? Find a couple places you can park it for free each night. And then going to land and, doing all that, you'd have to go grocery shopping probably like once a week. And you know what I mean? There's a lot to think into with doing that. But it'd be cool, like, you're just living on the water, basically just fishing, and if you do catch something nice or whatever, you could maybe even sell it, I don't know. I'm not sure how it would all work. Not to be all that fun, but yeah, I was watching a video. This lady was talking. She made a video on. I was gonna take her idea a little bit, but she made a video. She's like, why I plan on retiring at 62, or why I'm cashing out on Social Security at 62, and she already retired at 60, but she just wasn't collecting her benefits. She was gonna, she just quit working at 60, and then she's gonna wait 2 more years and collect her benefits. And she was explaining all the different reasons why she's financially set enough where she can do that, because she figured she's gonna, how long her family lives. Well, most of her family lives until 80, and so she wanted to put enough money aside so if she were to live to 100, she would have money until the day she died. But yeah, she made a pretty good video on it. You know what I mean? That thing, I'm like, man, I could probably make a video why I plan on retiring at 50. You know what I mean? and then, like, just explain how I can actually, in my head, how that actually is gonna be possible to achieve that. It's for one, for me to retire at 50, I only plan on living till 80. So I'd have to pay to be alive for another 30 years. But granted, just because I'm retired doesn't mean I would completely stop working. You know what I mean? I'd either probably be making videos at least, or still be driving for Uber a couple orders a week. You know what I mean? Retirement's a little bit different. It's more, retirement's like the way I'm trying to live, where, like I'm just gonna work 20 hours a week and just act like I'm retired already. You know what I mean? Because nowadays, by the time you get a house, and even after you pay it off, there's going to be enough bills involved where you're going to have to kind of still work 15 hours a week somewhere. You know what I mean? Do one 12-hour day, something, 2 5-hour days, even for, like, as a cure for boredom for yourself, because you're so used to working 5 6 days a week that, if you feel like if you're going to stop completely, you'll die. You know what I mean? So you want to kind of keep yourself going to some extent. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, fucking run around in a race for 30 years to buy something that's like overpriced in the first place doesn't fucking really make any sense to me. I don't know why so many people, you'd think there'd be more people in my generation that'd be thinking the way I am. You know what I mean? Which we kind of are, but there's, it surprises me how many kids are just like, just doing it anyway. You know what I mean? Versus like trying to do it the way I've got it set up, where like at my store where I'm working, they were trying to get me to move up into management, and the pay difference, I'm like, it wasn't even fucking really worth it, dude. Really, what would be worth it is if I could make it all the way up to being a commercial part guy, or if I could be the actual GM, would be the money. One of those two positions would be the actual money. Every other fucking position, you're still a fucking peon watching these other two guys make the actual money. You know what I mean? And you say you're the third guy on that totem pole, you're gonna be doing the most shit. And that's pretty much what they were trying to, like, hey, we're gonna try to build you into this. And then I seen it coming, so I was like, no. How about if I'm just a weekend guy? How about y'all just work me like as if I'm a retired person that's working? You know what I mean? And so yeah, pretty much I finally got it figured out that way, and I just do the Uber on top of the hours that I get out of them on that. You know what I mean? You gotta be, man. I'm filling up dead air here. You know what I mean? Like, otherwise you just have dead air. People would just be clicking right off. But yeah, pretty much that's about it. Try to get through it still. But yeah, the way I got it set up, where I only come in on the weekends now, it's like I might as well be the GM, right? Like I'm a part-time general manager. Like I'm pretty much me. You know what I mean? Like I was like, hey, watch this. Like boom, now I'm the GM. Now I just come in on the weekend. Y'all are doing your job. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. I came in on Saturday, and I saw that the other two guys that they hired to pick up my Monday through Friday, basically, so I can work the weekend only, right? But you got to think, whoever they hired, when he was interviewing them, he probably told you like, hey, you don't have to worry about working the weekends. So they were like, oh, cool, yeah, no weekends, cool, and he was probably telling like, well, if you want more hours later on, we might could work something out. Where but they probably hired the people on, and they were probably like, cool, yeah, I can find something else to do on the weekend. That's cool. You know what I mean? So it's not like I was like fucking them completely by doing that either. You know what I mean? Because they need a good weekend guy just to kind of pull the reins in between everybody else doing their thing. But yeah, I know. I understand they put in their time. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's all. But that's kind of the thing I don't like too. Is like so much of all these different corporate jobs, they've kind of built themselves onto that same military scale. You know what I mean? That's where I was like, I'm like, I'm not trying to be the first one to get pissed. Y'all are peeing on all of us, but I'm gonna be the first one standing in the way. Kind of that's where that position basically is. You know what I mean? And then right now where I'm at, like, if I was 50, if I was already 50, it'd be the perfect job for somebody that was in their 50s and only really needed something on the side to cover their food bill. You know what I mean? That's pretty much the way I'm trying to make it. Like I've got my 50-year-old job ahead of time. I'm just there. X amount of years before. And that's kind of the main thing that they're all fucking pissed off about. But I don't know. I don't give a shit. Y'all see that? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I could fucking live in a fucking 10 by 10 fucking shed. You know what I mean? I'll insulate it just enough. You know what I mean? And really, in Florida, you don't have to worry about insulating it. You got to worry about ventilation, not insulation. But yeah, I don't know. It's still a road either way. You know what I mean? You're still gonna have to get up and do something every day. You just feel like you're doing more stuff for yourself instead of for them. But yeah, like I understand like the one spot's kind of like a stepping stone from here to there. But where I'm at, I need to like I need to fix the holes in my own boat first before I don't know. That's why I'm just thinking about base camp, and then I have this is my spot. You can't tell me to leave. Like I can show you legally that I paid to live here. You know what I mean? I can't survive without AC here in Florida. Yeah, and well, that's what I'm thinking. I would just have like 5 fans. You know what I mean? Like just like a little box fan, a little stand-up oscillating fan, maybe a little tiny another little fan pointed right at my face. You know what I mean? Just like 5 fans, one fan right on your crotch. But I think running 5 fans would be less electric than running an AC. You know what I mean? And granted, yeah, you might not be quite as cool, but that you're still getting a lot of air circulation with 5 fans. You think? You know what I mean? That's pretty much the same thing as me, Fred. Man, I'm like at this point, I've already put 15 years into the system, and I haven't really gotten. What have I gotten for my 15 years of working in the system? I've ended up homeless in my car. You know what I mean? And I honestly, I've been fucking working. You know what I mean? You can see by how big I am. I've been working to feed myself at least. You know what I mean? And even that's a pretty big bill to have to cover. You can ask my parents on that one. It's like, but yeah, I'm waiting for the cops to show up at some point here soon because the lady at that one house, she pretty much just got home. And there's a car coming up the street with like it's coming up it's like creeping up the street that I'm on, and like I said, there's no houses on the street that I'm on, so it's weird that there's a car creeping up the street. But anyway, it could be a police officer. Anyway, I bet the cops are coming here shortly. You know what I mean? But if they do come, I'll just slide over like 2 streets. It's not really a big deal. The connection's a little bit better on this street. I noticed. That's why I'm even here. Just it's so weird. Like 100 yards, 100 meters difference. I go 100 meters to go over 2 more streets. Well, maybe 100 meters to the first street, another 100 meters to the second street at the most. You know what I mean? I go that far away from where I am, and the signal is complete shit. So I don't know. It probably is just the service that I have. They don't have a tower out here. But yeah, man. But yeah, pretty much. If you're new to the channel and shit, I make longer format videos, just like kind of documenting, how what I'm doing to get through the day. Um, just even for myself to go back and watch later on. I don't know why it's still doing that big head mode thing. Um, but yeah, I can like look back at it in a couple of years and you know be like, oh man, yeah, I remember being there. I don't know. I was like, I just that, never knew I had that mindset. Rather do the minimum work for a decent pay. Lazy mind, I suppose, but also didn't care about the job. Yeah, it really does, man. You know what I mean? Unless you're like maybe a police officer, you probably care about your job. You know what I mean? You're military, you might care about your job. But there's certain people they're cut for military. You can tell just by looking at them that they're they were probably a veteran. You could tell just by their physique. You know what I mean? You can tell by looking at me. I would not do well in the military. I'd be making my whole platoon have to run more than they wanted to, and I'd probably be getting my ass beat by the other people. You know what I mean? Just wouldn't be a good place for me to go, regardless of how much they're paying. And then really, you put yourself in another mindset where like the people that joined the military, they signed up to kill people from another country for our own country's currency. Like they agreed that what they wanted to do for work was basically, in one way or another, kill people from other countries or defend our country from them killing our people. You know what I mean? You agreed that's what you want to do to make money. You know what I mean? It's something about that. It doesn't seem like completely mentally sound. You know what I mean? Like you agreed to kill people that were born in another country just so you can get free college or free health care, or you can get a pension, you know. It's kind of fucked up. And then they come back after, and then they're treated like gold. They're treated like they're a class above any other regular citizen. And it's like, and the rest of us, we're kind of still working for the, like if your country has a military and has as much of a defense spending as we do, we pretty much all have military jobs. You know what I mean? Especially when they're all stuck on this fucking 40-hour week bullshit. And especially when you're barely getting anything out of it. Like I feel bad, people that you're working a 40-hour week at Walmart doing overnight stock. You know what I mean? You're just as essential to the system as anybody holding a gun. You know what I mean? But do you get any kind of pension after 20 years of working at Walmart? I don't think so. Do you even get health care like that? Like you retire from Walmart, do you get health care for doing X amount of years for Walmart? No. But if you're in the military for 180 days, you're considered a veteran for the rest of your life. For 6 months, for making it through 6 months, you're considered a veteran. You can write that you're a veteran on every job application you do for the rest of your life, and then you're probably 9 out of 10 times more likely to get an interview because you're a veteran, and probably more likely to get. You have to say something stupid in the interview to not get the job as a veteran. You know what I mean? And it's people, like I said, that they have some kind of psychological problem where they thought they thought it was a good job to go kill people from another country. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just that's my take on it from being on the opposite side of that fence. You know what I mean? Start the car.
Normal voltage.
It was showing my voltage all the way down at like 11.6.
Waiting connection.
I might drive up to the front of the neighborhood. There's a little more light up at the front of the neighborhood and shit. It gets me away from this lady before she calls the cops. But it's kind of fucked up, like somebody calls the cops and then the cops get here, they see that you're doing nothing wrong. Well, then the person that called the cops was basically, they just I don't know. That's like false reporting basically at that point. But nope. It's not for me either, but I can understand why some people do it. No, my parents, that's the whole reason I'm living in my car. It's like, and the whole reason, I've been homeless so many times before is just because they won't, they're willing to actually give me an accurate time frame to where I can actually get out of their house to like be able to find a place, find a roommate, you know what I mean? Because you can't afford it on your own. You know what I mean? I don't want to work a 60-hour week to be able to afford to live somewhere on my own. You know what I mean? I'd rather me no homo, me and another dude, the two of us both work 30 hours and share the place. You know what I mean? Um, but even still to do that, like my parents always do some kind of like 60 or 90-day fucking thing, you know what I mean? And then, I'm always there from ground zero, or I have no job, and the way the application process has gotten, sometimes it takes you 30 or 60 days to find work, you know what I mean? And then, they expect me to be out in like 2 checks, you know what I mean? They never give me long enough where I can actually like build some real stability. You know what I mean? If because they've just been stuck on this. Oh, the day he's 18, push him out. And granted, if they could have worked with me, I could have been out of the house for good at probably 22. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? But they always want to do this ultimatum crap. You know what I mean? And like the last time I was, they gave me like 60 days. I was lucky enough that I found a girl that was willing to put up with me, and the two of us like got into, the two of us lived, pretty much was able to move out of my parents' house and move in with her and her mom, and then when things went sideways, her and her mom started fighting because her mom wanted to act like it was her place, but me and her were, I mean, her, not really me, I wasn't really helping out at that point, but she was the one paying for the place, everything, you know what I mean? And the mom was, she was getting food stamps, for her and her other kid. So they had like $400 a month in food stamps, and then pretty much, the girl that was my ex, the girl I hope, will be my wife or something, you know what I mean? Anyway, she was covering everything else after the $400 in food stamps that the mom would get. But then, the girl that she pretty much wanted to move me in, and then the mom, she kept having like these homeless friends, like not homeless like me, like homeless like fucking drunks, like like somebody he's saying he's an ex-veteran so that he can get more money when he's holding a sign. He uses false valor to make more money and then just spends it on more fucking beer. But anyway, she used to always have these people coming over, and we're like, dude, this is our house. Like, we're working to be here. Like, we're trying, like, why are you bringing these people here? And they'd be fucking with our shit, going through our room, stealing our shit. And so we moved out of there, and for some reason, like, we were able to move in with one of her exes. So it went from like an awkward situation to an even more awkward situation, because like now we're living with one of her ex-husband, her ex-husband or some shit. The two of us are living there because we left the mom where she was for her to just fend for herself. You know what I mean? And then a couple months later, the homeless were fucking up the house and shit. She wants us to come back, and then from there we moved somewhere else. We went further away basically. And we made it to finally got a place. Sorry, this big head mode thing. We finally got a place that we were renting for like $650 a month, and it wasn't a bad spot. It was really good. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, $650 a month. The landlord was an actual human being. You know what I mean? And he was renting us a washer and dryer too for $25 a month. So it was $625, and it ended up being $650 because we were renting the washer and dryer. But yeah, then her dad, she started talking to her dad again and everything, and she, we went up there to visit her dad, and her dad pretty much talked us into coming up there to stay with him, pretty much when our lease ran out on that place. And he was offering us a free place to live, come up here to Ohio. He's like, I'll just be happy to be with my daughter, for a couple months or whatever. Y'all can live here for free, save up whatever money you can make, and just do your build and get out of here. I'm not going to charge you rent. And I told him, I'm like, well, let me at least give you like 200. Let me at least give you like 200 a month to help cover some of the electric costs going up from 2 more adults being here. And then the two of us, we were living there for a while, a little bit longer than we should have been, cause you know what I mean. We were getting comfortable. About 16 months living there. And then I was starting to get really fucking homesick just because Ohio was starting to turn on me. Just, I don't know, just the way I felt, man. I was like, fuck this place, man. We need to get the fuck out of here. So I was trying to talk her, I don't know. The two of them ended up throwing me out of the house. So I came back down to Florida. This was in like to 22. I want to say it was in like, well, I'll say it was like probably August of 21. Yeah, August of 21, they threw me out, come back down to Florida. I get here, and my mom's like, "Oh no, you can't come here. No, 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 you're not coming here." I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, I don't want to be here. You know what I mean? I'm trying to, I don't know, still trying to talk to her, figure out things with her. And then I realized that me being in a different state wasn't gonna work for that relationship. So I did what I could to get back up there, bought a flight, got a ticket, talked to somebody, and got them to bring me to the airport. I got on a plane, got back up there. Luckily, I was friends with her dad's neighbor, and he had a camper, an old beat up camper. He had a camper that I was renting, like, not, I wasn't buying it, but I was renting for $200 a month, basically, is what I was giving him. And pretty much I was living across the street from her, and she eventually came back around. We started being, we were together again, and we got a little place. It was like a 2-car garage that somebody converted into an apartment. And this is where, this is where I already know it's not worth it, because even that place, it was $400 a month up there in Ohio, and then something like that here is like $800 plus everything's gone up from now to then. You know what I mean? But yeah, everything. It was $400 plus the water, plus the electric, plus the internet. You know what I mean? So it ended up being like $1,200 a month. And then so I figured for the $400 a month that I was paying, we eventually started looking around for stuff that we could buy, so that we could mortgage, instead of be paying somebody else. Sorry, I'm gonna move a little bit. Instead of be paying somebody else, we could be building our own equity. So we did. We found a place, and the mortgage payment was only about $50 more than the rent. For the $400, 2-car garage apartment place. Like, we found a place that we could buy that was a 2-bedroom house, and it was only $60,000. And then after the mortgage, 30-year mortgage timeline, we're looking at like $510 a month for to be putting money back in our own pocket ultimately, kind of, sort of. So we jumped on that, and then living there for about 2 years, and then just like all the neighbors just started ripping us off for different shit, different little jobs and shit. We'd have them do, or it just felt like, after a while, it just felt like the whole state was trying to fucking rip us off, And I'm like, we gotta go. They don't want us here. You know what I mean? We're here trying to build in this state and help this state, be progressive in this state so that this state can move forward. And it's just, I don't know, you just fucking keep getting shit on everywhere. But yeah, I don't know. She threw me out basically because it's just been, I was homesick for Florida. You know what I mean? And pretty much I've been living in the car since September from that. And so, basically it was like a 9 or 10 year relationship, building and trying to do things and live with somebody and do your thing and be, you know what I mean? But I was trying to, like I am now, I still had the same mindset. I was trying to get her to be on that mindset too, where let's buy a place that's cheaper, so that way we won't have to worry about repair duty for 40 hours, because we bought as much house as we can afford, not as much house as we wanted. You know what I mean? So that's where I was like thinking with the $60,000 house, because I was thinking like, well, man, we might be able to figure out a way we could pay $1,000 a month on this place and have the place paid off, like if it was a car, in 60 months time, have the place paid. You know what I mean? But then I ended up losing the job at Amazon, and this, that, and the other. My pay dropped. I lost like fucking 33% pay cut basically from the Amazon job to where I'm at now. And everything just got a little bit tighter and tighter and tighter, and ground beef's at fucking like $12 a pound and shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, she ultimately wants to come back down to Florida too. She sees that Ohio is like killing her. You know what I mean? Not like you're already dying, and then the state's killing you on top of that. You know what I mean? And in Florida's it's just better, because like Ohio, there wasn't really water life. Like, there was lakes and there was people that had boats and stuff, but it was, you know what I mean? You went out on the lake, you'd be the only boat out there. You know, there might be like one other boat out there, you know, or you know what I mean. It wasn't like the water life here in Florida, you know, where hell, you know, if you drive at the right speed, you're a fucking half hour from the beach. I bet. You know, where you are in Naples, you could probably ride a bike to the beach. You know what I mean? And not really like I'm that get. You know, I'm not really like a beach guy, but it's just nice that it's an option. You know what I mean? It's just that I have that much Florida in my backbone. You know what I mean? Where I just, you know, I'd like to go out and gargle some salt water. You know, fucking bury myself in the sand. You know, fucking whatever. You know, get a margarita on, you know, while walking on the beach. You know, you can't do that in Ohio. Not even an option. But you know what I'm saying. But pretty much that's why I'm in this situation now. And then I don't know. It's just not that I'm not trying to say it's like it's been the parents. It's not the parents' fault. They've been helping me through this, but at the same time, only so much. You know, because we kind of live in a world where a lot of people, their parents help them find a job, or they you know, daddy works for this company, so the son's got a job in this company. You know, like if the son wants to work here, he'll always have a job because dad's worked here so long and he's got such a good reputation. You know what I mean? But for me, you know, my parents have never really like kind of like set me up with like, okay, all you gotta do is, you know, just keep working here, show up on time, don't make me look bad, you know. So I've always kind of like had to go find something on my own, and the shit I can find on my own is just fucking bullshit, you know. And at the same time, since they won't, you know, they wouldn't never like work with me while I was younger, when I maybe could have went to college after high school, you know, and I maybe still had like some more of it still fresh in my brain and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But now, me and my age, I'm like, I don't see what's really the point, dude. I'm kind of, you know, like if Bitcoin pays off the way I'm thinking, I've only got like I've probably only got 5 or 10 more years I even have to worry. You know what I mean? So like I'd be going back to school, and then there's nothing that like it's not even something I really want to do. You know what I mean? I'd just be going back to school to make everybody happy and then make a little bit more money. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. But yeah, that's pretty much where we were at the time. Is, you know, what you're saying there about, I agree about buying as soon as possible. We were renting that place, the $400 a month place, and the lady we were renting it from, she was like a piece of shit kind of lady. You know what I mean? Like a slumlord. You know, like 22 different properties that she owned, and she lives in this big $4 million house, and you know what I mean. She's got, you know, she's a good person because she's got all these adopted kids and shit, and meanwhile she's, you know, all the money she's making is from you know, these people, these 22 different properties that she has. You know, that the people that living in those 22 different properties are paying for her to live. You know what I mean? She's not even actually doing anything herself, but coming first and collecting money. You know, I mean, granted, I know there's a little bit more involved with being a landlord, but I guarantee you she didn't put that much work into being a landlord. I could tell. That's why, you know, why I wanted to get out of there as quick as I could. We were only living there for about 6 months, but yeah, it was like a month to month thing for 400 a month, and then yeah, like I said, all the other bills on top of that. That's why I know me paying 800 a month for the studio before everything, you know, it's not even feasible. It's not even gonna happen. There's no reason for me to stick my head that deep underwater, you know. I moved out of my parents at 14. Damn, my parents were alcoholics. Yeah, I was homeless and lived out of friends' basements until I turned 18. I went to work at an asphalt paving company. Yeah, as a laborer. But yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Everything's just getting way too expensive, man. And like the amount of levitational pull that paper used to have is, it's kind of, the paper currencies, you know, they're kind of like losing their levitational pull. It'll get to the point like minimum wage will have to be $50 an hour just to get the teenagers to get off their ass and go to work. Kind of case in point, you know what I mean? Not necessarily, but you know what I'm saying. You can exactly see what that is, you know. But you know what I mean? Like if they were paying me 25 an hour, yeah, I could probably do a 40-hour week. But since y'all are only paying me 15, then you know, can I just get 20? I don't know. It's stupid. And then in today's world, fucking 25 an hour ain't shit anyway. But you know, I don't know, man. Well, I like the stars out here. There's some pretty good stars out here. I worked at that company and decided to start my own paving company when I was in my mid 20s. I worked in road constructions for almost 30 years. Hell yeah. And it was a different time back then too, though. You know what I mean? There was more of an opportunity to get into different businesses and shit like that for yourself. Like me, if I wanted to create my own business, the easiest things to do would probably be like mobile detailing or tree cutting, right? And I could like create my own tree, you know, or I could, get a pressure washer and start pressure washing the side of people's houses and driveways, you know what I mean? But there's a lot of upfront equipment cost with that, you know what I mean? And is it even something I'd really want to do? Could I even find the clientele? Would I even be able to price everything to the right point where, would I even be willing to do all the paperwork that's involved with, trying, it would ultimately just be easier to work for somebody else, just go to work, do your time and then get the fuck out of there. You don't even have to think about the place anymore. Green Dog. No, I really don't think Panda Express really pays that well. And then I can't do Panda Express. It's too upfront. Like it's too customer oriented. I don't like. I want a job. No food, no cars, no customers. Right? It's so hard to find. It's so hard to find a job that doesn't involve moving food or cooking food. Right? Maybe you're working in a warehouse and you're like loading up a food, or something. Like um U.S. Foods or something, Cisco or something, that I could maybe do that. But yeah, no food, no direct interactions with the customers, and no touching customer cars. But that's so many jobs. You'd be surprised how many jobs that blacklists me from. And then I've been in kitchens for 8 years in my life. You know what I mean? I don't. It's really not the place for me. I've learned that much at least. And then when I went to a warehouse after leaving a kitchen into a warehouse, like I thought people in warehouses were working as hard as people in kitchens were. You know what I mean? Because like money is, you have to earn, same amount of sweat needs to be given to earn money. I thought, and in warehouses, they don't sound like work isn't being done in a warehouse. It sounds like it's a bunch of rough ankle dudes, trying to get their quota done and leave early. You know what I mean? But no, when I to a warehouse, it surprises me how many like more than half the positions in the warehouse there's people like not even fucking doing anything. You know what I mean? But then the other 40% of the warehouse, they're like, like I said, like rough ankle dudes, which I don't really fit into there either. You know what I mean? Fucking when I was in a warehouse, I was constantly injuring myself, just trying to keep up with the pace that they're trying to drop on you. You know what I mean? Fucking you can only your body, because you move. Like when you are moving, like because FedEx was paying 25 an hour, right? So I was giving them some work at that pay, especially like leaving the job before that where I was only making 950. Leaving from 950 here in Florida, going up to Columbus, Ohio, getting a job at FedEx for 25. I was moving. I was trying to move hard enough to keep that job. You know what I mean? And yeah, I can only really load about maybe 600 an hour if they were small to medium sized boxes. You know what I mean? Like your average size package that you would get in the mail. You know what I mean? Not fucking they were so much fucking non-conveyable shit that would come through that warehouse. It was crazy. Like you know what I mean? All this, like fucking oh my god, like half the shit you would put on your truck sometimes would be shit that doesn't even go on the conveyor belt. You know what I mean? All this shit that's over 75 pounds, awkwardly shaped, like a recliner in a box or a computer desk in a box or, so much furniture, all these tires and shit, fucking, my God, it's just, there's so much shit, dude. And then they drop the shit on you at like 1,000 an hour, plus whatever the non-con, whatever door you're on, and how much non-con's coming in through that door, non-conveyable shit. And the stuff that is conveyable, they're dropping 1,000 packages an hour on you, and then you can only actually do 600. That's like as most as you can actually physically do is like 600. And granted, if they were treating you like a human, they would only be dropping like 400 on you an hour. You know what I mean? But and then, yeah, like at the same time, 60% of the warehouse would show up and then not even fucking really be standing in a position where they break a jam on the conveyor belt or something. You know what I mean? Where you're just like you have a stool, even you sit there on a stool, and if a jam happens, you pull out a pole and you break the boxes apart with the pole. You know what I mean? But yeah. But meanwhile, you're doing this. That's why I'm like, I don't know, man. That's why I'm not going back to a kitchen, because the pace in a kitchen, it's all just balls to the walls. How much can you give me as fast as you can give me? And then, yeah, like I said, I've been to a warehouse now, and then I'm like, man, these people aren't even fucking moving. Fucking, 4 women from Somalia standing in a circle, not even doing the work of one person. I did the same thing. Happy to switch off with a new wage, but starting your own business is way get ahead. Yeah, that's right. If I could find another dude, the two of us be like business partners in it, we could split the work up of, all the paperwork involved with like running some kind of small LLC. You know what I mean? I like the idea of just selling bottles of water on the side of the road. I really do, man. I know it sounds stupid, but like you pop open your trunk and have like a whole little mini convenience store. Because that's basically the same thing anybody else is doing, is buying something and reselling it, and then I'm working for them to help them do it. You know what I mean? Like, any retail job. If I was working at Home Depot, they're buying mass quantities of lumber, and then I'm supposed to help load it into somebody's truck. You know, and all they're doing is reselling something. Why can't I just buy something and resell it? You know what I mean? And somehow that's work. That's an honest job still, just to be a merchant. And then there's big cities, small cities and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Some bigger cities, they're like in Paris, people just set up a blanket and put up a bunch of trinkets on the blanket. He bought a delivery truck and started contracting with Amazon. He had 4 trucks, sold the business, bought a sailboat, and is sailing in Indonesia. Hell yeah. Yep. I don't know if the stream disconnected or what. It's not showing any viewers. But I hope I didn't say something y'all just left. Nah, I think it was just a connectivity thing, probably. Because I don't know, I'll see it drop to like 0 viewers, and I'll try to save some energy. Wait till it shows me a viewer back in the room again. Gotcha. But yeah, like I think it drops to 0 because it's like disconnecting. It's probably doing that buffer wheel for y'all while it's showing me 0 viewers. You know what I mean? I don't know for sure. I don't see the other side of it. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. But right now, what I'm liking, the idea I'm thinking really in my head, because I could basically turn one stream of revenue into 2 streams of revenue by doing this. I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm gonna live stream myself doing the Uber driving, like the entire, But I want to I'll have to invest into it. You know what I mean? I'll have to buy into it to a certain extent. I have to buy a whole nother phone to do it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'll just live stream myself doing the Uber driving, right? And then the Uber driving, you're making a certain amount of money from that. And if enough people are hanging out with you in the live stream, because something would actually be going on. You know what I mean? I'd be driving around. I'd have the phone on the dash pointed at the road, and and I like, we'd have a little, I don't know, I'm hoping. But then, yeah, I could basically live stream myself Ubering, and then the one stream of income would be two streams of income. I could be getting paid twice for doing one thing, basically, which it kind of sounds illegal, but it's not, because you're an independent contractor for YouTube and you're an independent contractor for Uber at the time. That's why you can run both. You can dual app and run Uber and DoorDash, or you can dual app and be streaming on Twitch and YouTube. You know what I mean? They can't stop you from trying to get more of a broader audience, which I think is kind of illegal. I feel like if you're, you should only be on the clock for one place at a time. So if you're already on the clock for YouTube, you shouldn't be allowed to be on the clock for Twitch as well. You know what I mean? Or if you're on the clock for Twitch, you shouldn't be allowed to be on the clock for YouTube too. But it's a loophole in the system right now, at least. You know what I mean? It's you know what I mean. It does sound kind of stupid, but there's other people that are already doing it, just live streaming themselves while door dashing, and it's safer in a way, because you have a live stream dash cam. You know what I mean? If you see somebody run a traffic light, or you saw an accident happen, you got it on the live stream. You know what I mean? And then you have people that are kind of like watching you when you go into these sketchy neighborhoods and stuff, when you're doing your DoorDash. Like, I'm surprised, like, everybody doing DoorDash and Uber should be live streaming it, just for whatever the fuck, whatever, you know what I mean? Just for whatever reason, just because it might even turn into something. You know what I mean? I've suggested before the mowing lawns idea. Yeah, but I don't know, to do that landscape and shit. It's an early morning job. I need more of like a, if I could be swinging and if I was cutting down trees out in the woods somewhere right now, or it'd be landscaping still. But like I said, it's ultimately, man, I don't know. Because like I said, I almost got the job. Like, the job set up on the weekend. I just need to get out of the credit hole, and once I get out of the hole that I'm in with the credit cards, I'll be feeling so much better, because I've got the amount of Bitcoin secured that I need, or that I feel that I need. You know what I mean? And get out of the hole with the credit cards, and just keep holding on to that Bitcoin. You know what I mean? I know that's kind of a long shot too, but look how far it's come since 2009 and today, while everyone's been calling it a scam. And now you can actually use it as collateral to buy land with. I don't really think it's a scam anymore. You know what I mean? I think it's something we should have got into quicker. But yeah, and then people have been telling me about it since 2011. I remember seeing it. My buddy, back when LimeWire was a thing. If y'all know anything about LimeWire, I lost a like. Okay, whatever. But anyway, but yeah, I'm still focused on my future. I'm just, you know what I mean, just trying to do my own thing. Ultimately, I've seen people play guitar on the side of the road, make more money than I'm currently making by working. You know what I mean? So I don't know why I'm putting so much of my heart and soul and muscle into trying to make a dollar in the first place, man. It's annoying. And the only reason you're making a dollar is because everybody else is trying to take them from you so quickly. But yeah, man, I don't know. I guess I lost a potential subscriber. I said too much. Sell the Bitcoin and pay off your debts. Holding on to Bitcoin could prove to be poor choice. Bitcoin isn't doing very well. Yeah, currently, yeah, because they just sold. They hit the mark. They hit the mark that they've been trying to get to for the last 15 years, and it was time to cash out. That's like, there was so many people, they got in early, and they were just trying to hit that $1 trillion market cap, and they hit the $1 trillion market cap that they were predicting since the beginning, when Bitcoin was not even worth You know, it was worth 0.3% originally, and they finally hit that $1 trillion market cap, so they were ready to sell. You know what I mean? But why would I sell now when it's at a 52% drawdown from where it was? It's the time to buy, not the time to sell. And then really, if you sell it, you lose because you have to claim it on your taxes. What you really want to do is use it as collateral. Pull liquidity out of it by using it as collateral and betting that it'll increase in price by more than the amount of the interest on the loan. And then you don't pay any taxes on a loan because it's a debt. It's a debt that you agree to pay back. It wasn't even really income. It's a debt that you agree to pay back. Yep. That's true too, man. That's all anybody's doing, man. We're all just kind of like looking at the kids to see what to do next. But crazy how like the top 10 companies in 2001, they like 7 of the top 10 companies were oil companies, and now the top 10 companies, they're all something to do with a computer. Like computers have replaced oil companies as the biggest companies in the world. You know what I mean? Like Google is bigger than BP, bigger than Shell, bigger than you know fucking Mobile, bigger than Marathon, probably bigger than a couple of them combined. You know what I mean? And then Google's not even really. I think Amazon's bigger than Google, and then Apple, for some reason, Apple's bigger than Amazon, and that doesn't really even fucking make any. All Apple, they sell phones and tablets. That's all. Amazon sells everything. They even sell Apple products on Amazon. So how in the fuck, you know what I mean? I don't understand how Apple's. I mean, I guess because Apple runs contracts with government and stuff like that as well. So there's probably a lot of non-consumer products that I don't even see that Apple's producing. But still, man, I don't know. But yeah, I know it's like gambling, but I mean, you're gambling on anything else anyway. You know. I tend to agree with Titan. It's a gamble hall in BTC, but your call, of course. Right. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, I get that it makes no sense because you haven't seen it. You haven't seen it work. You know what I mean? But maybe, stay tuned and you might, Because literally, I'm watching another dude on YouTube that in 2017, he wised up to Bitcoin. And then he was like, okay. And he's doing the same thing I'm doing. And he decided to live in his car for a year to put as much money as he possibly could onto Bitcoin. Right. And now he's doing what I'm planning on doing. And he's just traveling around the country, or he's traveling around the whole world off of the Bitcoin. You know what I mean? And then he's got enough that he's leveraged it and shit in such a way where like people that have a couple of dozen Bitcoin today, they're good, they're set. You know what I mean? They don't even worry about the price anymore. You have enough. You know what I mean? It's I don't know. But he was doing the same thing I'm doing. Just he was doing it 10 years before me. So granted, he's gonna have a bigger position. You know what I mean? And I'm not really worried about that. You know what I mean? I'm just glad to be a part of it. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I'm doing the same thing. I'm just 10 more years later. And I think ultimately it's I don't know, man. I try not to talk about it too much, to be honest with you. Because I don't like talking about the dollar. I don't know why I like talking about Bitcoin so much. You know what I mean? Kind of. But I think it's honestly, I think it's something that we're building. We're trying to get it to a certain maturity, and then it'll just be like the symbol for 1 billion. You know what I mean? It'll be the symbol for $1 billion. We just have to build it through buying it, through the buying and selling and the trading back and forth, and the scarcity of this commodity going up and up and up and up and up, and it'll eventually lock in 1 billion. I don't know, but I think it could end up being that obvious later on as it gets closer and closer to it. But I think ultimately it'll make it easier on computers because we took the currency and made a logarithm. Made a logarithm of the American currency, the dollar, and like we can logarithm, get rid of 9 zeros by using this B symbol, but we have to wait until it's fully matured first. You know what I mean? Which that could happen when the mining ends. In 2041, when the last coin gets mined, it could finally hit its final price of $1 billion and then just lock in. You know what I mean? And then you're like, oh, that was the $1 billion coin. And then imagine being a kid like in like 1920, right? Or imagine being old enough where you were starting to invest in 1920. It's like, to me, I feel like it's like investing in General Electric, like back before they put the power lines up. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way I see Bitcoin. Like, this is like when I'm 70, like my grandkids might be asking me like, why didn't you buy any of that? Like, you didn't see what that was. And it's like, yeah, I saw that. I wanted, and I wanted to, but I don't know. I didn't have an extra 50 ducks. I didn't have an extra 50 bucks at the time to do anything with it, do anything about it. So I just kind of saw it, and then it came and went before I even knew what it was. It was too high a price for me to even want to accumulate any of it. But yeah, it could be like, buying into any 100-year-old company, like buying it. Hell, I don't know, buying into any company that's been around for like over 130 years, but buying into it at the 20-year point. You know what I mean? That's the way I see it. I don't know, man. I appreciate you hanging out with me, at least trying to hear me out. Because I'm not disagreeing with you. It is laziness to a certain extent, but it's like, we're lazy by nationality. Especially when everything is blocked off anyway. It's like it's a different world than it was in the early 70s or even late 80s even. Like, hell, I've seen the world change so much, from like the 90s till now. Like it was such a better world in the 90s than it was today. I feel like, than it is today. And in the 90s, it wasn't really that good. You know what I mean? You had the Crips and the Bloods doing their thing back and forth, and like I don't know, like the 90s were kind of still just like today. I don't know. But there was more up for grabs because there was less that had already been grabbed. If that makes any sense. Yeah, only invest what you can afford to lose. Exactly. That's where I'm at too. Like, I've kind of put my head in this like survival mode, where I've got something to drink, I'm good there. I've got food in the car even if I need to. I got something. I've got food and water, and I got a steel tent. You know what I mean? So I'm good. You know what I mean? Just day to day, keep maintain what you have and try to keep building from there. You know what I mean? And with the $8,000 that I have in savings, if I needed to withdraw it, I'd have to pay a certain percentage. I can sell it because it's already, it's in a currency. Where if I would have put that money into any other kind of collectible, I would have had to exchange it into a currency first. You know what I mean? Whereas the only thing stopping me from selling the Bitcoin is because it's down so much. I'm like, I'm like 10% loss. If I were to sell it today, I'd sell my stack for 10% under what I've paid for the entire stack. Um, so obviously I'm not trying to do that. You know what I mean? But anyway, I feel like it'll come around, and like the amount of money that I currently have in it will double because it'll come back to where it was. At least, I think at the minimum it'll go back to where it was. And then they're predicting $1 million Bitcoin as an inevitability, which I'm kind of surprised it's not already that high because so much of it has been being scooped up here like since COVID, and now they're like large institutions have like really wised up to it. They've been buying like that whole time. You know what I mean? So it's kind of crazy that the price is even coming down with how much of it is being put into people's pockets. It just looks like manipulation to me. And part of it is day traders. That's one thing is like day traders could ultimately milk all the money back. Like everybody putting money into it, and then the people day trading are basically just slowly milking every little bit out of it, so it never actually goes up because all these people are fucking day trading it. Nobody knows how to hold on to it because it could potentially be worth so much more. And it's the first ever digital currency, man. Before that, currency was all analog, which is obviously a step forward. Like whether Bitcoin makes it as the currency or not, it's still a step forward to digitize the currency so we're not having to pass paper notes back and forth to settle debts. You know what I mean? Crazy how many people still prefer cash today. It makes no fucking sense, man. Like I try to get rid of cash. Like it's dirty. I don't even like touching it. And I'm a cashier. But I don't know, man. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. The way I see it, if it doesn't come back up or whatever, and I'm still using it as a savings account. You know what I mean? So I'm still slowly stacking, and I'll eventually have 15,000 that I need. If I want to withdraw it all, sell all my Bitcoin, it'd be stupid because it could, the moment I sell it, it could start going back up. You know what I mean? So it'd be better to hold on to it and use it as leverage to buy another asset with. I'm sorry, all I'll do is fucking repeat myself. I apologize. But yeah, man, I don't know. Pretty good day. It wasn't a bad day, man. I hit 2 runs. Basically been live streaming pretty much kind of throughout the day since I woke up. I did do 2 runs on Uber that made me a quick $25. Costed me that, I'll put that basically in the tank basically for tomorrow. So that way, tomorrow I'll be able to make some money. I checked my bank account and I was positive by like a good chunk. So I was like, well, I could basically take the day off. You know what I mean? But I still didn't. I still went and ran like 2 orders just to make some change instead of zero, pretty much. It could also start going down. The currency is difficult. Investment in to predict. The outcome could go another way. Yeah. But I don't know, man. I don't think the internet's going anywhere, and I think an internet native currency is only going to get bigger as the internet gets bigger. And it's, a currency that's already built into the internet, so it's easier to buy things that you buy on the internet. I don't know. It'll happen that way. But our nation's governments, they're not going to just step out of the way and let that happen either. They're going to try and, they're going to drag their feet on it as much as they can. But at the same time, we're building into the Martian economy, because you can't build a Martian economy from nothing. You have to build it out of Earth's economy. You know what I mean? But yeah, pretty much I saw it in a seminar like years ago. And at that time I was in college thinking like, oh well, it doesn't, that's for other people. I'm like, I don't even need that. I'll be all right. That's why I'm in college. I don't even need to worry about that. But yeah, I wish I would have. They were trying to tell us like, oh yeah, you should buy $1,000 of this today because it's eventually going to be worth a penny. So I wish I would have, man. They were telling me that right there in college. It's like the best information they were giving me in the entire 6 months that I was going to college. That information that they gave me on that one day, I should have totally bought into it because at that the penny was inevitable. The dollar is practical. You know what I mean? That's really what we're waiting for. Is if we can see if we can get Doge up to $1 before the market gets oversaturated, where it won't be worth $1. But at the same time, the value of the dollar has been going down the whole time, so it's only going to make it easier. The believers are going all in, and the skeptics don't want anything to do with it. Yep. Yep. Like I said, I probably lost that guy as a subscriber talking about it too much. But I was just trying to give him the information that I have on it. You know what I mean? I try to tell people like I'm not the best resource for this either. You know what I mean? But honestly, I kind of got to the point, like I was just like, I thought it was a scam too for the longest time. But then, once it hit $100,000, I was like, well, then it must be 100,000 times as big as a scam as the dollar is. It's 100,000 times stronger than the scam of the dollar. Tell me you ain't been getting fucking scammed by the dollar your whole fucking life. Hell yeah. Yeah, I could see Ethereum being like the new internet, right? Like like say when we're not even using a keyboard for the internet, like because it's all VR basically. Like we're putting on VR, like we're kind of already moving that direction. You know what I mean? But like like the Ethereum we'll just call it internet. Like the internet will be renamed. You know what I mean? I don't know, sort of, kind of. But like the think of like Ready Player One, right? The Oasis, Ethereum. Think Ethereum is the Oasis, right? And in the Oasis, we use Bitcoin and Doge. Like there might be more than that too, but honestly, I'm behind those two because they exist on the proof of work protocol. Like Cardano will still probably be a thing. Cardano might be a storefront or something. Like you put on your goggles and then you go into Ethereum, boom, and then that's why you need gas. Like that's why Ethereum is gas, because you might need to pay an X amount of Ethereum to like be logged into the system each day or something. You might have to like it might cost a Doge to log in. You pay one doggy coin logs you in to the Ethereum network. And then in the Ethereum network, we're all kind of still fighting to get Bitcoin off of each other. You know what I mean? Like whether we're playing some game against each other, people could be built, like we could be building inside of the internet. You know what I mean? Yeah, right, like Ready Player One. You know what I mean? I know it's just a movie, but honestly, I don't. The games aren't going to go away as much as some people would want them to. As much as football's not going to go away as much as I would want it to. You know what I mean? But yeah, I can see Ethereum basically becoming that because the company itself, the smart contracts and everything else that's involved in it, it's like it's its own like a digital vending machine. I don't know. The Cardano I hadn't looked into too much. I don't know. I kind of looked at Ripple a little bit, but I feel like every other cryptocurrency exists to try and take as much. They're trying to get it. They created this currency so that way they can chip into Bitcoin faster or more, or create a better position for themselves in the Bitcoin network with this other current. Like this currency exists to kind of steal thunder from Bitcoin, basically. You know what I mean? But it's fair. It's part of market. You know what I mean? It's like Coke versus Pepsi, you know, or Ford versus Chevy. You know, it's good for the market basically because then it's more than one advertiser. You know, but they're still advertising the same thing, taking your currency and encrypting it into the computer systems for your placeholder. You buying your spot in line today as a placeholder for yourself in the future. But then yeah, Elon's trying to talk like it'll cost a Doge to go to Mars, right? Like one Dogecoin will be the price of like a seat on a ship that goes to Mars or some shit. That's like that seems really crazy. It doesn't seem like there's enough money in the planet, like on planet Earth. It doesn't seem like there's enough liquid capital where that much can flow into Dogecoin, where each Dogecoin will be worth a trip from Earth to Mars. You know what I mean? That's a little far out. A fair price for Doge, I would say a fair price for Doge is like, say we get to the point there's a civilization on Mars. I could see it costing one Doge to get a bottle of water. And then that would basically be the price of a Doge coin, would be whatever the price of a bottle of water is on Mars. You know what I mean? So someone like me, I've got 1,000 bottles of water on Mars someday. Whenever, if my kids or my grandkids or somebody else in my family decide to give my credits to, they'll have 1,000 bottles of water when they get to Mars. So they can, you build from that. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure they would have to do something like that. Right. Yeah, because I mean, you got to see it as more. It's not like a get rich quick. It's a don't get broke or slowly. You know what I mean? Yeah, don't get rich. It's not a get rich quick. It's a don't slowly type of cycle. But I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm just glad y'all are hanging out with me, being two older gentlemen to try to bounce off of and give me some realistic information. You know what I mean? Like I am listening. You know what I mean? I'm trying to. You know what I mean? But I haven't. Like I said, I haven't found that idea where I'm like, oh, this is what I want to do other than YouTube. You know what I mean? I wish I would have got involved in YouTube years sooner. You know what I mean? Because I've watched it turn into so much. You know what I mean? And it's really, I think it's the OG double OG of all the platforms that there are, that I could be streaming on, like Rumble or Fuckstagram, or all this other bullshit, TikTok. And I don't fucking like TikTok at all because I feel like it feeds into that ADHD culture. You know what I mean? Where that schizophrenia where you can't listen to a song for more than 30 seconds without getting bored and wanting to hit next track to the next song. You know what I mean? That TikTok shit, that's all that does. It just feeds into that. And like our short attention spans getting even shorter from this shit. You know what I mean? I don't know. Gotcha. Yeah. Hedge against inflation. Crypto is still a lot more risky than those things. Anyway, just different opinions. Jerry Bear. Well, here, yeah, let me help you out. Actually, Fred, hang on. Until you get like another. Oh, I can't make you a moderator for some reason on your wife's account. There's no option. Oh wait, no, there it is. Sorry, I see it now. There you go. At least your wife is nice enough that she lets you flood her account with a bunch of my videos. You know, so she's like trying to watch. She's on YouTube trying to watch what she watches. All this fucking Florida bullshit. This homeless guy dancing in the rain. All every videos. And they will, man, because like I'm gonna be building a little bit each day. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to. Like it's the main thing is I'm not trying to bite off more than I can chew. You know, if I can get something small, paid in cash, you know, and fucking, basically anything I want to buy, I'm trying to get to the point where I can just buy it in cash outright. You know, if I can't save up the money to get it, then I must not need it enough because I wasn't determined enough to save the money to get it. You know what I mean? Hell yeah. And hey, it'll probably be it'll add up to another subscriber probably. Because I mean, I don't think they took your old account like as a subscriber from my page. They might have, one way or other, maybe. Yeah. I appreciate you subscribing, man. Like, even if you don't actually watch the videos, just you being subscribed, and wait till I get to 1,000 if and then you can unsubscribe. I won't care. Just help me out. Join the army until I get there. Yeah. I got to come up with like a name for like my fans. Like something kind of swampies or something. I don't know. Something that's not offensive. You know what I mean? I don't like y'all. Don't call y'all like swamp minions or something. You know what I mean? Something that but something that's cool. I don't know. Because when I make it to 500 subscribers, they'll open up like memberships and stuff like that. And I bet at least Kev will probably, I'm gonna make it cheap. You know what I mean? Because I'm not like, but if y'all are willing to be a member for $1 a month, you know what I mean? And maybe I get 10 members that are willing, for $1 a month, and then I'm making $10 a month off of YouTube for sure. As long as I'm putting content out where y'all are, wanting to stay a member for $1 a month. You know what I mean? And then you get your name in green and all that too. You know what I mean? It's stupid. It's just part of it now. But yeah, you get like 10 channel members, and then hopefully the channel gets to 1,000 quickly. And then at that point I'll be stacking. Basically, the YouTube could become its own savings account. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't I wouldn't pull the money out with. I think they do like a weekly. I'm not sure. Not sure how the checks work on YouTube. I bet they do like a monthly check or something like that. But yeah, I would still just try to like let that save. Try to maybe put it somewhere where it can have like some kind of compounding interest over the years. You know what I mean? And even that, even with maybe just like 2,000-3,000 subscribers, 20 years down the road, it might end up being enough to, you know what I mean? It at least buys a car. Maybe 20 years down the road, I can buy a used car with the money that I've been stacking in the YouTube. You know what I mean? So read books written by wealthy people and take the advice from books. Find a mentor that's doing good in life and copy what they are doing, how they made it. You would be surprised to know how many wealthy people love to mentor people in order to teach them what they did to become wealthy. Yeah, I met a dude like that. He's out in Sacramento, California. I hit him up. It was a joke, but he took it very well. I was like, hey, do you need a yard guy? Because the guy's talking about he's like I'm making 10 grand a month. He's a graphic designer, and he got into graphic design, which is something I wanted to do. It was a really big idea that I had. I wanted to do it like from 6th grade until 11th grade. Basically, I wanted to be a graphic designer, but then in 11th grade, I was like, that's not going to happen because to go to art school, even the art programs, even at the state funded colleges, you get an art degree, you can't really do much with it. You know what I mean? I don't know. One reason or another, this, that, the other, I don't know. when I did make it to college, I signed up for engineering as my major because I was decently in tune to math, but I didn't know engineering was so much geometry, which I have never, I can't, I don't know. I can't do geometry. I don't know. Just something about it, man. There's just, I don't know. It's too much. I could do algebra all day long, or I used to be able to. You know what I mean? I could do quadratic expressions in my head without a sheet of paper. You know what I mean? But geometry, I don't know, dude. It was, I don't know. I couldn't even put my attention in enough to like remember the 9 basic shapes and the 9 basic formulas for those shapes. You know what I mean? Because that's basically all it is. It's just remembering those formulas for those shapes. But I don't know, man. Just couldn't do it. Appreciate the likes, man. Up to 10 likes now. Hell yeah. Took 2 hours, but at least it's better. Fucking Fred, you remember me streaming to just you? At least now, Fred, yeah, you got other people to talk to now. It's cool. Yeah, but it's kind of too late now. I've eaten too much acid. Like I literally I found acid for like $1.50 a hit. That's what my biggest problem is like my so much of the neurons in my brain have been fried. There's not a lot connecting stuff as much as there used to be. You know what I mean? But yeah, they used to, man, my mind. I used to have like, people have like a 1-track mind. That's how my mind works now. But I used to have like a 4-track mind. I could think about 4 different things, and like steadily be thinking about all 4 of those topics at the same time. You know what I mean? Or at least 2. At least like I at least had like a dual track mind where I could dual process things really, really well. But since eating all that acid, you know what I mean? I'm looking for who's got the easiest work. You know what I mean? I'd rather swing a hammer than use a keyboard. But in today's world, they want you to use a keyboard. I don't know, man. And then even like once I get to the point where I have the land, I'll probably be making videos of like the stupid shit I'm building on it. You know what I mean? Me thatching together the wood with twine. You know how to bushcraft something. I mean, I'm making a video about bushcrafting something. Out of the materials I found on my own little 1 acre, my 1 little quarter-acre lot. I built this out of all down brush material. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. The county might fine me for that. I'll find out later. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Because like if there's no foundation, certain rules you'd follow. I'd look into it. As before I go to build. You know what I mean? But if there's no actual foundation, there's no concrete, didn't use any nails. You know what I mean? It's like it's literally just a bunch of logs stacked up. You stacked up logs and made a place to not have to get rained on. But not like I don't have to be in my car, and I don't have to worry about getting rained on underneath this little lean-to that I made. And if the county's okay with it, then I'm fine. You know, and I'll just have like a little hobbit house. Yeah. But I don't know, man. We'll see. Like I said, I've secured enough Bitcoin. I've done enough Uber driving because I set a goal for myself when 2025 started. It was a very unrealistic goal, but they say you want to aim for the stars, aim for the stars and then land on the moon kind of thing. So I set a goal January 2025, basically like when Trump was talking about Bitcoin and he's like, yeah, we're gonna issue a new golden era, a new golden age. And I was like, okay, well, maybe it's about time to buy into this. Um, so I set a goal. I'm like, I wanted to get to zero point 0.1 Bitcoin in a year. And granted, it took me a little bit longer. It took me about 16 months, but still, I made it. You know what I mean? I made it. I made it to that unrealistic goal in 4 more months' time. And so now all I got to do is keep that secure. You know what I mean? And then make enough money where I don't have to divvy into it. You know what I mean? Which that's I'm already doing. I'm already doing that because I made enough money where I was able to stack it. You know what I mean? It's my understanding that you need the basics to live in plot of land. Basics are a well and a septic system. Yeah, I know. And then to do the well and the septic system, you have to plug it into the grid. Yeah. But I see other people doing it though too. I've seen I think in episode 8 of the Chronicles, if you check it on my episode 8 or 9, there's like literally it's like somebody just cut out he had a vacant piece of land. He cut out enough of the woods to make a driveway, and then he just got a van parked like 30 feet off the road. You know what I mean? That already exists in this neighborhood. You know what I mean? So either the county doesn't know about it, or it's okay to do it. You know what I mean? Because there's no law that says you can't park your car on your own private property. You know what I mean? There is a law, if it's not, it's an inoperable vehicle, you know what I mean, or if it's not registered, this, that, the other, and that's just bullshit for them to collect more tax money off of you because you own a vehicle. You know what I mean? But I would at least follow that much enough. Hey, Kent, what's up, man? Appreciate you coming back. Yeah, we've pretty much been talking about Bitcoin. I'm trying not to. But yeah, man, 11 likes, man. Appreciate that. Five pretty steady viewers. We've had at least 3 for a good chunk of time. And then the chat, y'all pretty much got your own conversation going on in the chat. Like, this is what I wanted, man. And it gets bigger. If it gets bigger than this, cool. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to find like a buddy, somebody like a road dog kind of thing, so it's not a meth head. You know what I mean? Fucking maybe live stream. Have the 2 of us in the car talking and fucking hanging out. I don't know. But for right now, that's the smallest thing I can think of in my head. Because like I said, I'm trying to build the smallest possible living. Build a living situation that's as cheap as possible, so I have more money to live outside of that living. Other than, because I seen one dude, man. He was living in this chick's backyard, living in a shed in her backyard, renting the shed off of her for $400 a month, and pretty much he just ran an extension cord out to the shed, and he sold weed. He lived in lived in this shed behind this girl's house, and she was one of the people that bought weed off of him. So thank you for hanging out, Kev. I appreciate you. You're not late, man. This could be a 6-hour stream, man. You could be getting here right in the middle. But yeah, like the way I stream, if I got at least 1 viewer, I'll keep talking. You know what I mean? Especially if y'all are talking back. If I got a viewer that's just sitting there looking, I might run out of shit to say. You know what I mean? But yeah. But yeah, I'm thinking on the lines of getting a new phone just to, I don't know, I know it's stupid, but I don't know. Got to kind of envelop into things a little bit. I hope everything works out for you. Just keep plugging. You'll get there. I'll check in live streams when I can. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for telling me that. Not sure what he's saying that to. But yeah, like if I got 1 viewer, man, I'll hang out. We'll talk. You know what I mean? Get to 4,000 watched hours somehow or another. You know what I mean? That's why, man. If y'all if you can't sleep, click on that. I got 2-hour block screen. It's mostly silence with some crickets in the back. You got to put the volume up pretty loud to hear the crickets. You know what I mean? But it's 2 hours of black screen. You could fall asleep too, and then it's only 2 hours. So once it gets to the end, it'll just shut off if you don't have autoplay on. You know what I mean? And that really does help the channel. People, log it in and just zoning out for 2 hours while the crickets chirp. I'm probably gonna make a couple more maybe different sounds or something. There was a whippoorwill the other night just going off. I'm like, man, I should have recorded it. It was like, because I don't know. Whatever. It's for whatever it does. It does kind of something else to click on. You know what I mean? I figured I'd hit more of a broader audience putting that one black screen video. Stupid. Yeah, I've been waiting for some rain, man. It's been really dry since I came here. But in the summer, it pretty much rains every day at 4 o'clock. So I'll be able to get some rain noises, the sound of rain falling on the roof of the car. You know what I mean? But that's good to know. Appreciate that. But yeah, I'm thinking like having a fan, black screen, black screen with a fan, just a fan noise. I might even take like all of the Chronicles episodes and then like make one like really fucking 45-hour long video. Just like all 100 episodes of the Chronicles and just shoved into one long ass fucking video. See if anybody clicks on it, watches the entire thing. It's like, damn, this guy left this shit playing for 45 hours. It's so soothing to be parked in a car when it's raining. It is, man. Especially if it's not like too muggy. You know what I mean? Like if it's on a cold winter night, you don't, car camping in the winter is fucking, it's a breeze, dude. Literally. It's like, like living in a refrigerator. Especially if you're like a hot person as it is, like me. I'm like, you know what I mean? It's 74 degrees and I'm still sweating downstairs. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm surprised cops didn't come, man. I was hanging out that one lady, that fucking I don't know, some bitch around the corner. I was out behind her house one night and she's all freaking out because I had the flashlight. I was trying to record like the last little clip to like finish up a video and then get it all edited, and I was doing all the editing back there. And I'm like, I'm on the other side of a 2-lane road. There's a vacant lot between me and her house, and then the other, I'm on the other side of the fucking road and shit. She comes over there and she's like, "You gotta go." I'm like, she's like, "Do you live around here?" And I'm like, "Well, I technically I live everywhere. And I'm alive everywhere." You know. She didn't like that answer. The swamp region, yeah. The swamp ass thing. Yeah, that's pretty much when I was thinking of the name. When I was thinking of the name Florida Swamp Monkey, right? I was thinking of the King of Queens episode. Arthur, the old man, and then Doug said something where he called him he's like a demented circus monkey or something, and Arthur heard him, and like that whole episode was about Doug calling him a demented circus monkey. So I kind of like went with that, and then also with the swamp ass thing from from they did on Impractical Jokers. They were like, this is like the swamp ass thing. Q made his own comic book or some shit. It was called the swamp ass thing. So I put the two of those together and created a name out of it. That's how it came to be. And then the monkeys because I'm that's my zodiac. And I have a lot of like monkey characteristics. You know what I mean? I'm kind of like if you were to take a chimp and make it a human, you know. I don't know, man. The swamp does. Yeah, man, we're hanging out. It's not even 9 o'clock yet. I'm not even supposed to be live yet. Oh wait, no, yeah, I'm supposed to. $12 tip, dog. Show me your tips. I was thinking the other night, man, we need a woman with big tits to be president. We need like a huge tit woman to run for president. You know what I mean? Just so it'd be a completely different thought process for every other person that's ever been president before. And they'd be fun to look at. It's like this woman with this obnoxiously huge ass tits. She's our president. We've never had more viewing attendance on the State of the Union speeches. We've got so many viewers. I don't know why. There's 20 million people watching State of the Union address. Yeah, we got plenty of weed. We're hanging out, man. Almost wanted to fucking trip tonight, man. I was thinking about it. I want to take a good trip. You know what I mean? But fucking, I got to do it just right. Fucking take like 3 days off, not do any Uber. You know what I mean? Because like the next day after come down from a trip, you don't even want to mix in with society. You know, like you just like you know, like the next day you're too awkward to go back and like want to mix with people at the store or whatever. And then the day after that, you're gonna feel like a zombie. So I don't know. I feel like I'd go out to the campsite and just kind of stay near the water. So if I just jump in the water, something. Get a couple packs of hot dogs and just hang out. Trip for the night. Might do that next weekend or something. My next weekend. But yeah, pretty much the whole month of April, I'm gonna be working to pay off my credit cards. I've been pretty much the whole month of February and March. Every extra dollar I've made, it's gone into Bitcoin. So I feel like the month of April, I need to be smart and like actually throw the money to paying down the credit cards. So that's what the plan is. And then when May comes, I don't know. We'll see what the price is. It might be stupid. I probably should do it the other way around because May comes and the price might go back up and I'll be buying 20% less. I don't know. Trying to figure out the difference, between the annual percentage rate on the credit cards versus the annual percentage that might happen with the Bitcoin coming back to the previous all-time high. I don't know. It could take 3 years for it to go back up to its all-time high based on the way that the cycle works and everything. So I don't know. I got some decisions to make there. But I do think it's a good idea, like at least $1,000 if I, put at least $1,000, a good chunk of change down on one of the credit cards during the month of April would be the smart move. But yeah. Appreciate y'all hanging out. 11 likes, man. That's pretty good for one of my videos. Not even sure what my subscriber count is right now. But I feel like I'm getting more subscribers from going live than anything else. So I feel like I'm trying to use the live to catch the audience with, and then have people come back over and want to click on the videos and see more of what's actually going on day to day. Almost thought it was going to be a police officer. It looked like police officer headlights. It's crazy. I'm sitting like right here. You'd think somebody would have stopped and asked, like, "Hey, are you all right? Are you broke down?" Nope. Everybody just. Someone's on the side of the road. I'm just gonna drive right on by. No big deal. But yeah. Some of these people, they're about to be my neighbor. They don't even know. And I found one piece of property that's kind of like further back from where I am. like, even if all this land sells for some reason before I get the money together, there's still more, way more, but it's another 3 miles further back into the neighborhood. 3 4 mile, you can go about, you can go so far in this neighborhood, you go to another county. This neighborhood expands out into the next county. I'll fire up the car. Yeah, gotta keep my battery topped up. I fucking ran it all the way dead the other day. Got a jump off somebody, and, you know what I mean, fired it, ran it back up with my alternator a little bit. When I got to work, I pulled it out of the car, plugged it up to the battery charger at my job, charged it for a good 4 hours while I was working. But it's still kind of, and I looked at it, it's about a 4-year-old battery too, which is kind of a good length of time for batteries nowadays. It's probably not going to last too much longer. So I got to start planning for that. It's about a $300 expense for another battery. Just because, I would definitely buy an AGM battery. I wouldn't buy a lead or, fluid-filled battery. Kind of, you know what I mean? If I'm going to replace this one, I'm going to replace it with an AGM. But those are like $250 or more. Nah, man, at least where I work, we only put a 3-year warranty on them, and then you'd be lucky if you get a 3-year battery from my job. I'll be honest with you, from the amount of returns and people coming in for their warranties on their batteries and shit. You know what I mean? I'll see a battery, it just comes out of warranty. So often, it just comes, like you're 6 months past your warranty and your battery's fucked. Interstate batteries, yeah. I'll have to look into that. Where you get those from? AutoZone? No, AutoZone's Duralast. I don't know where you get Interstate batteries from. But I have heard that, like Interstate, especially like a Deep Cycle Marine battery, keeps doing this fucking big head mode shit. I don't even have the big head mode on. It's still doing it. But I figured I'd go ahead and put it back on it. And yeah, it can barely catch it because the light. That's what it is. Anyway, the Kev, man, I've never asked, like, how old are you, man? No, I don't think it's my alternator. My alternator, it shows me on this voltometer I got plugged into my cigarette lighter. My alternator's currently got the battery voltage shoved up to 13.5 volts. But yeah, like, I run the car for a little bit, about a half hour or so, and shut it back down. Make sure it's got plenty of charge to. You're 42? Holy shit, man. Holy shit, Jesus Christ. Is Jerry 50? I don't mean it like that, I'm sorry. Beth, is Jerry 50? I don't know, I've always kind of wondered. I was like he might be 26, like he might be my same age, he might be, like, because I met you through Snooks, like, I don't know, if I if Snooks never put that, if he never made the video, how I woke up as a 35-year-old loser and how you can avoid it, or whatever the title is. If he would have never made that video, you wouldn't be here now. But he's not I don't know why he thinks to himself that way, you know what I mean? There's so many people that still live with their parents, even a couple generations before us and shit, you know what I mean? There's so they're still living with their parents today. I don't know why he takes that to heart so much, you know what I mean? Because, like, the two of them, they're roommates, you know what I mean? If he wasn't there helping his mom, she'd be fucked, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, he's not a loser, man. He's got a whole nother stream of revenue he made out of the YouTube, you know what I mean? And then he's still going to work and doing his shit 5 days a week and shit too. Like honestly, like if I was as big as Snooks right now, I would just mainly just focus on the YouTube. You know what I mean? Like the YouTube would be my job, and then everything else I do is just to kind of make some more money. You know what I mean? Just because you don't want to throw all your eggs in one basket, you can't count on YouTube that much. You know what I mean? You see how big Snooks is. That's about as big as I think I might ever get. It's like the 30K. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's like clearly you don't really make enough money off of it where you can just do that alone either. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. He's a good guy. Yeah, I hope. You know what I mean? He'd be good as like the manager in like the computers department at Best Buy. If he was like the manager of the computer department at Best, I think Snooks would be fucking awesome for that, dude. You know what I mean? I don't know for sure. You know what I mean? But and then just to do that, man, just to do that, you're really not a, you know what I mean? You're just like everybody else, fuck it. Man, like I want to work at Best Buy so bad. I've wanted to work at Best Buy for years, man. I can't get through. I can't get through the application to get an interview at this point. The way they got the application set up. You have to do, or they do a video interview where they ask you a question, and then you can replay the question, and then you have to record a 60-second response back to the question. You know what I mean? You don't even actually get an interview with a person, so that you can like be personable. You know what I mean? Like in an actual fucking in a little you meet with them in an office and you talk. Tell them about your job history. And then they eventually tell you how much they're willing to pay you, and then you tell them your availability. But fucking yeah, dude. That's pretty much the only reason I'm working in car parts. Is it's more retail experience, so that hopefully I can go work in a store that doesn't sell car parts. But I don't want to just work in a grocery store either. Really, like, if Radio Shack was still a thing, man, I'd be fucking beast at fucking Radio Shack, just selling RC cars and phone equipment type of shit, and like somebody comes in there to buy a phone case or a fucking, USB charger wire, fucking, if you had a Radio Shack anywhere near you, you know what I'm talking about. I would have been fucking beast working in a fucking Radio Shack. I can't believe Radio Shack went out of business. It makes no fucking sense to me. Let it run. Should I let it run for another couple? I'll let it run for another couple minutes. At least, another 5 minutes. I'll let the car run. Maybe you should install car parts. No, I've always kind of hated cars, dude. Except for except for Sylvia. She's a good car. But all the rest of them, they're all pieces of shit. But yeah, I don't know, man. A lot easier to maintain a car than it is to maintain a horse. I can tell you that much. You know what I mean? Like that's it's at least a step forward. I can only imagine if I had a horse. Could you imagine doing like Uber deliveries on a horse, man? That'd be crazy. It'd be free gas. That'd be funny if they even if they like have that's an option in like some small towns where say there's more like it's more horse traffic than car traffic, so they allow you to deliver on a horse, or like you're an Amish you're Amish delivery driver, so you deliver on a horse and buggy. Amish, like, well, then how do you use a phone? Like, how do you use a phone to run Uber in the first place? He's like, well, it's only for money. It's only for money, lad. It's just trying to make some money. Oh man, got one viewer now. How many miles to old Sylvia? She's got $197,000, and I needed to get the oil changed 7,000 miles ago. The only like I got a toolkit, and I work in auto parts. I can get oil. You know what I mean? Um, I mean, I need a jack though. A jack's like another fucking hundred and fucking some odd dollars to get a jack just to lift the car up enough to be able to get up underneath there with my stomach and everything. you know, only got like 8 inches of ground clearance underneath there, so I definitely need a jack to get up underneath there to pull the drain plug out. I'll have to do it. Something, I don't know. I have to just buy a jack. I'm thinking I'm probably gonna take it up to Walmart tomorrow, let their little quick lube change place just do it before, because really the orders don't really start till 4 p.m. here. So I could, if it's a 2-hour wait to get my oil changed at Walmart, you know what I mean. It's not gonna be that big a deal. I don't think there's gonna be that big a wait on this small town Walmart on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? It might be a half-hour wait kind of thing. Half-hour wait for them to start the oil change, and then like another half hour for it to drain and be refilled. You know what I mean? Shouldn't take that much longer than that. And then once they do the oil, I'll just go ahead and run for the day. After that, that's what I need to do tomorrow. I'm already kind of planning it. Because I had a friend, I got like a mechanic friend. I was gonna have him do it. He does it for like $20. I buy the oil and then I slip him $20, and then he gives me the jug of oil with the old oil in it. You know what I mean? And I just dump that. You know. But yeah, he don't want to do it for 20. I understand. You know what I mean? It's not really that much money. He's a mobile mechanic. It's kind of like a waste of his time for just $20. You know what I mean? I hit him up like a week ago. He ain't said nothing back, so I'll just have to do it myself, or go to Walmart for $60 or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's about the same price. By the time I buy the oil at my job, it's like $40, but you get a free filter for $40, and that's for Mobil 1 extended performance. 20,000-mile oil. But yeah, I put that in, and I won't have to worry about it for a while. You know what I mean? Yeah, you get a flat. Yeah, I got a jack, but it's like a little scissor jack. It's not a jack I would trust getting up underneath the car with. That's the only problem. So I could get some jack stands, maybe. Those would be cheaper. I don't know, man. But yeah, like it's like $41 for the oil, and then you pay him $20. It's gonna be about $60 either way. You know what I mean? But at Walmart, I don't know what fucking oil they're gonna be putting in my car if I go to Walmart for $60. It'd probably just be Fram, either Fram or some kind of like Valvoline that they get by the barrel or something. I doubt they're not gonna put fucking Mobil. I'd have to upcharge for Mobil 1. But at least it's not like remember when synthetic oil to get a synthetic oil change was like $200. Maybe not that, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was like over $100 to get a synthetic oil change, like anywhere you went. Just because I don't know, synthetic oil was still new and whatever. But now it's kind of more priced to what an oil change used to be. Like you can get an oil change for $25. You used to be able to. I'm talking like 2008. You could probably find somebody to be able to do an oil change for $25 and like at a shop, not just like in the parking lot somewhere. Yeah, man. When's the last time you did an engine flush? Oh. Yeah, I need to do all that. That's what I was talking. I got the mechanic friend. He heard. He's like, oh man, it sounds like you need a new water pump. And it's like you probably should get a water pump and then get a new pulley and change out your serpentine. He heard it. He's like you need a new belt. You probably, if your belt's going out, you probably need a water pump because whatever mileage you're at. But yeah, the water pump, it's like $70, and then the belt's like probably 30. And then I was wanting him to do radiator flush, shit like that. Hey Kent, how you doing, man? Yeah, put new coolant, get rid of the coolant that's in there, replace it with brand new coolant. Just some basic stuff, you know what I mean? But he'd probably want like $200 to do all that, you know what I mean? Plus whatever the price of the parts would be, you know. I can only imagine. You know what I mean? He's cheap, but he's not gonna fucking sell himself short either. You know what I mean? Just he's a good mechanic. He knows what his time is worth. He's just giving me a deal because as I live in the car. You know what I mean? But yeah, like I was like radiator, new coolant and radiator, water pump, new serpentine belt, spark plugs and ignition coils too. Which I'm not gonna get like the cheapest spark plugs. I'm gonna get some kind of at least champion spark plugs if I don't buy AGK. Um, but try to get some NGK spark plugs for a decent price, and then new ignition coils. And then the ignition coils, they're gonna be about $75 a piece. I need 4 of them. But yeah, I'm just talking about car maintenance that needs to get done. Your Sylvia is important. Treat her right. Yeah. Yes, my horse, man. My horse and my covered wagon, man. Like I reference it all the time. Like if you ever played Red Dead Redemption 2, especially the online mode, where you go to camp and you just got some homeless man named Crips that hangs out at your camp. He makes really good stew though, so you keep him around, and then you just have your horse and your covered wagon. But I'm lucky enough today. The 2 is 1. But my horse and my covered wagon, I really got to keep it protected. Then you know what I mean, because it's both my transportation and my housing. You know what I mean. But the good thing is like I said, I got like $8,000 saved in Bitcoin if I really need to.